Alright everybody, hello and welcome to the Kappa Council episode 8. It is actually already. I mean, this is not one of those weekly podcast type of shows. This happens when it happens. It's on Sundays basically always. I think it's been always on Sundays. Yeah, episode 8. Joined with me today, Scorch13. I think you're the most common person on this show actually.
Yeah, this is my fifth time on.
Comes with the territory of being part of Metagamingtv, I guess. Easy person to book. Hey, Kappa Council happening. Join. Okay. And obviously, we're not gonna be 2 people. We're gonna be 3 people. We're gonna have Atmaz, the community manager of Abrakam. Welcome, Atmaz. Thank you for joining us today.
Ooh, thank you for having me. Also, a community manager. There are several of us. I don't want to take credit from all the community managers. There are 3 of us.
Oh yeah, that's true. You're not the only one.
Yep.
That's true. How many are you guys? There's 3.
Yeah, in total, there's me and Gareth and Eminer is the junior community manager, so to speak.
I actually keep mixing you and Gareth up because your name is Gary.
I know, right? What's the odds of that, Gary and Gareth? And then we worked in Scrolls and we worked here and we just call ourselves Team GG, kind of. But yeah.
That's something we just should do off the bat here is tell everybody like who you are, what you do, and maybe where you're from. I mean, where you're from. You didn't get born in Scrolls, but I hear a lot of people saying that. Hey, I remember him from Scrolls.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's where as far as community management goes, that's where I started. Before that, I was in the United States Navy. After that, I did a lot of web development work type stuff, and then I got involved. Basically, how I all started in this line of work was I just decided to stream one day, just out of the blue. I had never done it, didn't know how to do it. I downloaded XSplit, I think.
Yeah.
And I started up Scrolls was a game I was playing at the time, and I got like 250 viewers. I'm like, holy crap! Like, what the heck is this streaming stuff? And then so I started doing it pretty regularly. Got involved with the games I enjoyed. And yeah, and so now I'm here doing work that I love for games that I love.
And it's a card game, board game type of thing, much like Scrolls was, right?
Oh well, yeah. But strategy games have always been my #1 thing that I enjoy, and Faeria is like pretty much the ultimate strategy / card game type hybrid you can ask for. So yeah, right down my alley.
All right. We're gonna start off with the. I think we're gonna go basically from the top in the notes here, and then we're probably gonna jump around anyway. But like we usually start out with the general question. You guys in Twitch chat can obviously always jump in and give opinions and thoughts as well if you're watching this on YouTube in the comments. What do you think about the current meta that we have right now? Is it fun? What should be done if it's not? Perhaps like what is yeah? Where's the meta at? Would you guys think? Scorch, would you like to start out with that?
Sure. I haven't played too much ranked lately. I've been enjoying the new Pandora.
Oh yeah, we gotta talk about that too.
But I mean, I've seen a lot of people saying that Rush is still really prevalent up near the top. That yellow. I don't know, the control with all the movement mechanics really seems to be dominating tournaments right now. I mean, I still think there's enough viability to enough decks out there, but the fact that we're only seeing a few, I don't know if something has to change, but it seems like we need another swing back to some control mechanics being good again.
Yeah, where would you think Green stands in this right now?
I have kind of a tough time with Green. It's just because of what they have with the big creatures and the buffs and a lack of just direct removal. They really need to be a dual color deck. Mono green is really difficult to do well with right now, I think, and it really needs to have a complement of something else. But it just nothing feels strong enough. If you go into blue, you basically just play the Apex. That's kind of the only option. And then putting red in or putting yellow in, it just never really feels strong enough.
Yeah, so I'd add on to that. I'd consider there to be like kind of two different metas. There would be the ladder meta, the ranked ladder meta, and then there would be like the tournament meta. And I think they're two different environments. Ranked metas in general, for a lot of different reasons, tend to be aggro oriented for good reasons, or for reasons where players want to play as many games as possible, as fast as possible. Some players like to do it enough to where it can push the ladder environment toward an area where you need to build against aggression every single deck you use. So that's why we see in the ladder a lot of these decks. I think that, I mean, I've been playing a lot of Pandora lately, but if you look at the ladder meta and you look at the tournament meta, you can see that aggression can be easily countered. The highest level players in the game can handle it pretty easily. Now that said, you can still win. It's still a viable deck. But I guess the point here is that what I would like to see is more, kind of like what you've already said. I'd like to see more options, I think, for players to more easily build against these aggressive decks without having to know the highest level intricacies of Faeria. Like, just be able to handle it and not get so frustrated against aggression, even if it's not such an insurmountable force. So, I don't really know. I can't really say what changes will be coming. It's been over a month now since we've had a major balance patch. So the developers have been looking at everything. They've been looking at the ladder, the distribution of the ladder. They've been looking at the tournaments, of course. And we can say, okay, well, these are things we don't like seeing so much. Let's tone this down. And these are things we want to see more of. We talked about mono green. Yeah, I agree. Mono green has some issues right now. And there's an issue with mono green that I think is separate also. If mono green becomes too powerful, it's not a very entertaining meta.
Yeah, it easily dominates, I guess. We had that way back, I think.
Yes, that used to be the case. Mono green used to be the best. And as cool as Faeria is, if they're mono green games mirror matches can just go on forever, because it's basically moving tokens around the board, which is cool. But doing that over and over, it's not, me personally, it's not something I'd super enjoy to see. But I do, personally, I like to see every color viable. I like to see every possible combination viable. Right now, we're seeing, internally, there are at least 5 or 6 top tier decks that people can use and are doing really well with, which is a really healthy number, honestly. When you're saying this number of decks are the best decks in the game, if it were 1 or 2, that'd be really, really bad. But 5, 6, and more than that, that's good. It's healthy. You can't really. It's hard to ask for more, but of course the goal is always to have more. So any changes you see are going to be in that direction, to make more things viable rather than to take away viability from certain things. That's kind of the goal in general with patches. So, I mean, that's kind of my view on the meta. You can pretty much, the developers are going to be thinking along the same lines we all are. Like, they want to make the game, as diverse as possible. Kind of like, I think everyone has that same opinion here. As many viable decks as possible, and keeping the game as varied as possible. It's kind of the goal. And it's very, very difficult to get there, but I think we're at a really great spot. There are some improvements to make as always. And that's kind of my thoughts on that.
Yeah. I was going to say, I've said, kind of since I started playing, and people have always said how good Rush can be. Even when we had the yellow Rush deck in the early stages, it was just unreal. There has to be a Rush in whatever form to keep those control decks, like you said, with the mono green, where you're just putting creatures on the board all the time, and then just moving them around and not really doing anything but just controlling the board, because otherwise those decks just take off, and that's not fun either.
Yeah,
there has to be something to keep that in check.
You're exactly right. You're at the core of it. The Rush decks are the police of the game. They keep everything sane. They are the sanity check for the entire. If they didn't exist, you couldn't make really powerful multicolor cards, really powerful quad color cards, prismatic cards, whatever you want to call them. you couldn't have those because they would absolutely dominate everything if there was no police, no rush police to stop you from able to having those fun things in the game. You know, so there's an interesting relationship going on there with rush, and at the core of not just Faeria. This is like every card game that ever existed.
Yeah.
You know, the core of the balance of the design of everything is at rush decks. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, if you just look at the, because I don't want to say that we have like close to perfect balance or great balance now, but it's definitely not too bad. It's just that obviously, I mean, people's perception is what they see on the ladder. Rushing is efficient, and I guess further down the ladder you'll also notice, or that's where a lot of players are. Maybe it's so easy to. I mean, they rush. It's efficient because people are not so good at defending against it. So then their perception becomes, oh, rushing is OP, rushing is too strong. But if you look at the overall balance when it comes to the colors, I think, and I hear a lot of people think it's green is at a bad place. Blue, until I guess yesterday, hadn't had much. I have nobody had told me that there's a good mono blue deck, or blue works well. I mean, blue worked well in combination with others, but then we saw Gravekeeper bring a mono blue deck to the tournament, and we're like, what is this? He's doing great. It's awesome, right? And he invented something.
I think you hit it there too. It doesn't matter if rush is defendable, like if it's easily counterable by the best players in the game or whatever. If the perception from new players, or the perception from some players, that it's it can't be stopped, or it's unfun to play against, that's a problem too. And that's where a lot of attention and work has been put towards. How can we make in Faeria, which is such a complicated game, which at the every single turn is full of so many different options. How can we get it to where players aren't so, if they are frustrated from playing against rush, how can we get it to a better spot in that regard? Generally, we've taken steps. The developers have taken steps in the past. If you don't remember, Shimmering Statue never used to exist. The reason Shimmering Statue was introduced was specifically, well, one of the reasons was blue has no taunt structure.
And here's a neutral one that you could put in.
and when that patch came out, when Shimmering Statue came out, and this is how delicate the entire ecosystem of Faeria is. When Shimmering Statue came out, it also came out with a spell called, or an event called Healing Wave. Is that the name of it? It still exists. Healing Song. Yes, thank you. It still exists. When Shimmering Statue came out, it also came out with Healing Song. Every single deck on the ladder suddenly started running Shimmering Statue and Healing Song, and that was not the intent. Like, whoa, hang on, guys, this is too much. So options were given to try, and these neutral card options to defend against rush or to be more controlling were given, and it swung the pendulum too far in the other direction. Like, that's how delicate it is. So Healing Song was stepped back, and now it's not quite as a amazing card. But for some reason, Shimmering Statue stopped seeing play almost altogether. At least I haven't seen it very often. So that's an interesting effect, I think. But yeah, the reason Shimmering Statue exists is to help. It's one of the cards that was introduced to help against rush. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
It is an interesting topic because what I was getting at was also that I think overall, like, all the colors feel like there's some type of deck you can build from all the colors, or I mean, to me, even a Munu any color deck can still have like a little bit of another color without me calling it a green blue. Like if I splash 3 blue cards, it's still to me almost a green deck, right? But it's still that thing is that I think like Atmaz said in the beginning of this discussion was that internally, or heck, I would say even from the community that I know on Faeria, there's 4 or 5 decks that I can think of that are all really, really good. So good that it's more down to who plays them, maybe, of how well they perform. Because like I saw this blue token deck by Cappuccino on the stream yesterday or this morning. He streamed when I was awake. And I was just like, He's winning with this. How is it possible? Like, you know, I mean, it's just that's how it is, right? Like, you know, they figured out some deck that, you know, he plays it as it should be played, and maybe also his opponents haven't seen it before. That obviously helps him. You know, the surprise factor of they're like, what the fuck is this? But it was just really fun to see again. Blue being brought into the picture, not just red rush, yellow rush, wish decks, you know.
there tends to be a flavor that catches on. You're right, and yeah, red rush, yellow rush. That's the other thing is the goal is not to only have two different types of rushes, right? Yellow rush and red rush. There should be green rush, there should be blue rush, there should be control of all variety.
I saw neutral rush. That did not work for him though.
Neutral rush. Neutral rush is an entirely different animal that can't work for. It used to be like last year. It used to be the most powerful deck in the game, because the intention was to have neutral rush be a viable, or just neutral decks in general to be a viable. But it turns out if you do that, if you make the neutral cards so powerful where they can sustain themselves and be their own deck, it makes them the most powerful deck in the game because they don't need to make special lands. They can make 2 lands per turn instead of 1, and it just doesn't work. So neutral ends up being filling a support role.
Yeah, I think that's a good space to have it. Like, I mean, again, like we could bring in joke into this discussion, right? And just be talking about what is fun, gimmicky decks maybe that could work, here and there. You could get streaks. I mean, he obviously makes some weird stuff work very well. But fun decks, gimmicky decks, Doomgate, some things that might not, get you to God rank, but it's fun to play because when they trigger, you're just enjoying yourself. And so I still have the one deck I haven't yet to delete from my deck list is I think I just call it Yak stuff. Because it's just I started with just putting in all the Yak cards, and then it's evolved from there. It's an all neutral deck, and I actually climbed. I think when I at the beginning of the early access, I was when I started rank 25, I got to like rank 18 with that. I actually climbed with that stuff. It was just aggressive neutrals. Just I didn't like go face instantly. It was more like I tried to go basically straight over to take their wells and just keep them from them, and then I was just aggressive though. It was kind of like a rush, I guess, but it was just because you could place 2 lands all the time, so you quickly got land control over your opponent.
It shows how the deck is not top tier, but the deck still works. That shows how powerful just a neutral deck is. So I mean, you're not going to be the best deck in the game, but you can take games every now and then. I mean, my favorite thing to do when I'm testing a new deck is to play it against neutral rush AI, because if I don't pass that test, then my deck is too slow.
That's actually I haven't even looked at the AI challenges for so long. I didn't even remember there was a neutral AI rush. That's actually, now I'm gonna have to look at that. Yeah,
it's, for me at least, it's the best way to test a control deck, because it's like the timer, like a base timer to start from.
That's a good one. That's a good note. There you go, guys. Test your decks against the neutral AI rush. If you don't defeat that, then it's not viable.
You're probably gonna have problems.
Awesome. All right, I guess we can leave that topic behind now. We usually talk about latest patch. It didn't feel like, I mean, we're gonna talk about Pandora. Like the big things we're gonna talk about is that it might be worth mentioning if people are watching this later or now and don't know, is that if you have access to the game, in the upper right left corner there's an invite a friend feature going on. So you can invite one friend, and if you win 5 Pandora matches, then you can invite a second friend to the game. So if you haven't done that, do that. If you enter your own email, you actually get an email with the code. So if you just want to get the code, you can do that, and then give it to anyone, right? You don't need to have their email. Actually, you could just give the code to any person who you see that's like, hey, I'm interested in this game. I've seen a lot of people on Twitch. In Twitch chat do that, like during the tournament yesterday, there were people like, is there anyone here who wants access to the game, because they have this invite a friend that they haven't used. So I think that's pretty cool. Get people in to try the game. So that was added. What else? Basically it's Oh yeah, we're still waiting for this important thing. Good thing we have the community manager. We need the option to turn off the ambient sounds.
An option to turn off the ambient sounds.
Yes.
Oh, you mean more?
It's because
okay.
now it's like stuck with FX. I think it is. Yeah. So you can't get rid of the ambient birds and shit. That's lovely for people who live in like, I don't know, the rainforest. But you know, I really dislike
people
it.
It actually would be bad for people in the rainforest because they hear it all the time. They would
They would not make. They're like, oh, what are you talking about? Which ambient sounds?
That's who need these options, is the rainforest people to turn this on. But no, yeah, no.
It's for me.
So I'll pass it on. I honestly don't know the progress on getting something like that, but it's. Yeah. I've heard that before, so it was the
first thing I did. I remember when I went in the game, I'm like, so where do I turn this off? Because it was like, you know, birds and waterfalls and chimneying stuff, you know, and I'm like, okay, FX, turn off FX, and that meant like game silent, like you couldn't hear card over effects, like you heard nothing, and you turn it on and the birds was there, and I'm like, ambient needs to be its own little slider. I think I mentioned this in every Kappa Council since it was introduced, actually.
So I fall asleep to like rain sounds every night. Like I turn on my TV and I turn on YouTube. I don't want to fall asleep when I'm playing a game. No. What I'm saying is, I want an option to just have that. I'll just run Faeria in the background and play the ambient sounds.
Which you could, if it was its own little option, you could turn off FX, turn off, I think it's music, and you could have only the ambient sounds if you want to. That should be an option too.
Yeah, gotcha. I'll see what we can do.
All right, we'll see. We'll get back to you guys in the next Kappa Council if on the progress of this very important feature. I think to me it's a pet peeve, I think you call it, right? Where it's like, you know, it was introduced, I was like, why was this not there from the beginning? Like, oh well, it's I've gotten used to it now. I actually don't even think about it anymore. But it's when I read my notes, I'm like, oh yeah, that thing.
Well, odds are if you feel that way, there's probably at least one other person out there who feels that way. So
there was, when I posted this on Discord when it came out, I had at least 2 people agree with me instantly.
Oh yeah, I know for sure on this one. Yep.
So we're 3 at least. So we're we could now start an organization for this. Okay. All right. So something awesome happened yesterday. We had the Faeria Monthly Cup #2, and it was awesome, like literally freaking awesome. What I don't know where we start. Like Scorch unfortunately was doing real life stuff. You didn't watch too many games of it, right?
No, I watched the first couple. I'm just trying to look through the bracket here and see which game I caught.
Oh, shit, I can probably show the bracket even. We can even do this super flashy monthly bracket. Boom! There we go. Have the brackets on the stream.
I know I caught Sweetie and Afterstar, which I think was the first game. I don't think I watched anything after that.
But for Atmaz, who's the organizer, then, what's your overall thought of the second monthly cup tournament and everything? Like, I mean, you're the person who organizes this and make this happen, and you know, make sure the players behave.
Yeah, well, the players were lucky. You're almost always very behaved. So that's like a very small concern of mine. And in the big picture, scope of this, when I look at these brackets, I see consistently 2 months in a row now that the people who are widely considered to be the best players in the game are routinely advancing far in the brackets. That shows that at least in some level in this format, and certainly in Faeria, if you are really good at Faeria, you're going to reach the end of a tournament. Now, whether you get to the finals or the semifinals, or even the quarterfinals, you know, it shows that skill. The most important thing to me is that skill is well represented and rewarded in these tournaments, and I think that's what I'm seeing. So that's my first concern, because if that were not the case, if we just had random names advancing every month and every qualifier and everything, then I would say, wait a minute, this is just it's just roll the dice here, you know, with whatever factor. But that's not what I'm seeing, and so that's what makes me the most happy. Secondly, what makes me really happy is that the games are still really good. You know, even though we haven't had a balance patch in a month, We saw different decks. There were some similar decks. Yellow Control still very popular, but there were different decks brought in that were very strong, and players learned to use them very well. And it continues to be interesting. And yeah, I think that it's great to see a new player, a relatively new player in Faeria, at least Donkey74, to win the entire tournament. Of course, he's no stranger to card games. That's probably his number one type of game he plays, card games and strategy games. And he comes into Faeria, picks it up, and takes the tournament. Takes a $1,500 win.
Well, I mean, when you say he comes to Faeria, picks it up, and he wins the tournament, we're not talking within a week, right?
No, he's been playing. He was there in the I think at least 2 months now.
Yeah,
I don't honestly know how long he's been playing.
So it's been a little while. It's been a little while. It's I mean, like you started saying, we see many of the really good players continuously performing. I mean, a lot of these players that we see in this bracket, they basically face on a daily basis on the ladder, right?
Yeah.
These are all god rank players. They when they play ranked, they run into each other. So I mean, and some of them are obviously on teams. They practice. This is obviously the creme de la creme. A lot of these people. There are some names I don't recognize, but I also find that interesting because I do think we're getting more and more. I mean, Faeria is getting more and more players, but we're also getting more and more really good people coming here. One really beautiful thing from the tournament yesterday, I think, was Gusu User, one of the invited, let's say, celebrity guests, being a StarCraft 2 professional, coming to play Faeria in this tournament, and ends up being fourth place. Yeah,
and he really impressed us, and he put in the work for it too. He's been playing Faeria a lot, and it showed. I actually talked to him a little bit. He's like saying, "Oh, these are the decks I'm bringing. I made some mistakes last time when I brought these decks. I want to try and go for this strategy because of this," and it worked out really well. He ended up bringing it was 3 Wishes was his opening.
I think exactly,
Oh, nice.
which surprised a lot of people because I think. From the games we spectated, nobody else had a 3 Wishes deck as their starting deck.
Yeah, he brought it in, and it caught a lot of decks. Caught him in surprise, took him off guard, and almost often he won every single first game that he had. I don't know exactly. I think I have it tracked somewhere, but he did really well in his first games. It could be said a lot of the other players are saying that it limited his other deck selections, and maybe that's what. He didn't take it all the way to the end, but he got to the semifinals, and that's
he got to the 3rd place match, even.
Yeah, semis and then 3rd place.
Yeah. He lost to Sweetie, the champion of last month. So
he lost to the winner of this tournament and the winner of the previous tournament. So, I mean, what are you gonna do?
Oh yeah, that's true. He lost to Donkey in the semi. Yeah, that's actually very, very true. So some of the feedback on these tournaments and some of the things to talk about. I also want to obviously mention the very beautiful story here. If people are looking at the brackets, which is showing on the stream and in the video right now, it's you will see some green figures, which is the prize money. And the previous 1st and 2nd place players, which was Sweetie and Helios of Flame, they had a bounty on their head, so whoever defeated them got that bounty, and the bounty was $150 for each of those 2 players. So Donkey defeated Helios of Flame in the quarterfinal, which netted him $150 prize money already there. Sweetie lost to Gravekeeper in the semifinal, which netted Gravekeeper $150 for that. So it was kind of funny to see these 2 bounty hunters, as we call them, who got into the grand final. Gravekeeper versus Donkey both eliminated the last top 2 players in the tournament. So basically in the final they've already made $150 each, and now it was a battle of who's the best bounty hunter, who gets the grand prize. I just love this when we get these storylines happening in this type of tournaments. It's almost too good to be true, but it's I love it. It made the whole tournament so much better to me.
I love the bounty system. It was suggested to us by Sweetie, actually, the winner of the first tournament. And I was like, my God, that's brilliant. Yeah. And I asked the team, I was like, this is the idea. And like, oh my God, that's brilliant. And so, we put it in.
It is brilliant.
Some extra spice.
So we can expect that to stick then. So Gravekeeper Donkey next tournament, $150 bounties, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Awesome.
So.
Oh, it's gonna be so cool. What if Sweetie and Helios take it back?
Just exchanging bounties every tournament. That'd be funny.
That would be great.
It's cool, like going forward in tournaments, because then you start to get this history where we can start building, more player profiles to talk about during the matches too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, more stats to bring up and history.
When they've taken bounties, when they've held a bounty, right? Like,
my dream is that eventually someone sets up like a Liquipedia for Faeria or something where we can have history.
Faeriapedia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be great. Yeah, I love that. I love stats like that. I already mentioned it on the tournament stream. Like, where's the list of the top earners of Faeria now, right?
Well, there is the Hall of Fame. I mean, we have it on the esports website, the Hall of Fame, where we have the total earnings. And Faeria also keeps track of a score list of.
It's
not sure exactly how.
It's not up right now, though, right? Hall of Fame. No.
No, that won't be till Monday. That'll be part of the when the work week begins. We'll roll that over and put the new Hall of Fame up. Yep.
Right, and we'll keep like all of the previous winners as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, that's gonna be cool. That's cool. So, we're gonna have that then. Awesome. Cool. I'm happy. What do you think about the format? Are we gonna keep seeing this format, or will we see other formats? Because I actually, after 2 tournaments now, actually enjoy this. Like, I actually think this format is good and great and fun to watch. But I guess the counter argument, the argument or the feedback I've seen has been to turn it around. That let's see, now it is the winner keeps his deck, but to turn it around so that the winner has to change. Like, that's the other one, right? Yeah. But like, what? What's your thoughts on that?
So last deck standing type of format. Yeah. So it's something we keep our eye on closely. The thing to keep in mind is that changing the format like that changes the decks that you'll see almost completely around. You want to bring 3 strong decks. That's it. You want to bring 3 strong decks. So you're going to see possibly, the 3 strongest decks in the game. That's whoever agrees on what those 3 strongest decks are, instead of a strategy in Pantheon where there's a certain strategy in Pantheon, right? Where you might not necessarily need to bring just the best decks in the game. You need to bring 3 decks that work well together and can cover each other's weaknesses, which I think is a little more interesting, at least in my opinion. But that's not to say that switching to last deck standing would be worse. There are a lot of other cons too with switching the format. Switching any format has like 1,000 different things that change about how the tournament proceeds, and not including but not limited to the types of decks you'll see. Also, players at the tournament. Last deck standing is not a popular format for reasons involving people say that the matchups become or the match becomes a coin flip, one coin flip after another, because the way the deck selection process works, right? So if there's matchups that have weaknesses that are generally considered to have weaknesses against others, it can be considered, I lost the coin flip because I picked the wrong deck, and that's something we've tried to avoid. Especially, the first big tournament was the Gamers Origin Faeria Clash, which is wild, and one of the biggest complaints there was that coin flip aspect of I'm picking a deck, I don't know what my opponent's going to pick, and it just comes down to the matchup. Whether or not that's true, it doesn't matter. That's the perception of it. So that's something we want to avoid, and that's why there's this main deck or prime deck that's in Pantheon, where you must start with this deck to at least eliminate that some way, and then you can there in this format you will always know what one player is playing, so there's never that coin flip aspect to it. So I guess my answer, go ahead.
I was going to say, is the coin flip argument? I know you have to offset it with those decisions, but because what we currently see with this format, when the winner keeps their deck, the other person can counter in game 2 with a deck that should beat the other person's, and then that person who won game 1 then gets to counter for game 3, which is the deciding match. So is that kind of like I know that's the offset, but kind of like, what's your thoughts on that then?
So that's the number one thing we keep we keep our eye on in this format. That's in theory, like if decks were like 80% counterable, or even 65% counterable. In theory, if that were the case every time, that's what you would see every time. I was tracking it yesterday. That's not what we're seeing every time, but it does happen. It does happen, and since players bring it up, there's probably something going on there. Whether or not it's a concern in the overall. I mean, first of all, if I look at the brackets, I have them open separately. If you look at all the 2-0s, that goes right out the window. And there are a lot of 2-0s, but there are a lot of 2-1s. And of those 2-1s, there are some that follow that pattern. There are some that are not. It's definitely not 100% or even like 80%. I don't have the actual percent. I'm still in the process of going through it. But
yeah,
it's not something that is so cut and dry that it always happens. Player skill, once again, player skill tends to win out in the end. Of course, if you have an equally skilled player against an equally skilled player, that's where it gets, a little gray, or a little, that's probably where the effect happens the most. So if it's a big problem, we can consider at least trying something else. But with any other format, there's going to be
issues. Yeah,
there's going to be issues. So the problem, the issue, or the goal is to find the format with the least amount of issues. And I think Pantheon's really good. I think it is really good. It doesn't mean we won't try anything else. It's something that we have to talk about. It's not I don't say, okay, I can't say, okay, we're doing this time, because any decision we make has rippling effect across the entire team. Now we have to have Nicholas code the actual tournament feature. We have to have a discussion beforehand where we decide what's best. And of course, there's all kinds of, everyone has great arguments about everything. So, it's a process to change things. But I gotta say, my feeling is that overall the format is enjoyed by a lot of people. So changing it feels like such a risk. Yeah. But I do want to explore different options, just so we can say, oh no, hey, at the very least, so we can say, oh, we tried that and it had these problems, so we don't want to do that anymore. Yeah. But it's good to try things. The concern is just not to affect too many things negatively.
Yeah, I remember the discussion, or when it was most discussed on Discord. And if you're watching this on YouTube and Twitch, I keep bringing up Discord because Faeria has its own Discord server where the community is, discussing all types of things. There's a feedback channel, a balance discussion, a lot of stuff like that. So if you haven't gotten Discord yet, a lot of people hear Discord, they think, oh, TeamSpeak. No. Like Discord, to me, it's more like a it's a chat client. It's a persistent chat where you can log in from your phone or PC, read what people have written, and just take part in discussion. Very few people actually, out of everybody using Discord, use it for the VoIP features, but it has those too. It's just brilliant. You should try it out. But on Discord, when the feedback was brought up and the discussion happened, I was one of those that said. Which basically I defended the choice of the format chosen, but also said that, well, hopefully they'll try different formats, because I want to, I think it was even on the Kappa Council, I heavily defended my state that I want to see tournament, this tournament has that format, this tournament has another format, because I want to see different type, because also different type of players will prevail in different type of formats, and all that stuff. But after, like, I've changed my mind a bit, because after experiencing 2 months of the monthly cup, the qualifiers leading up to it, and all of that stuff, I like the consistency of the same format being the foundation, where people will see, they evolve their strategies, the decks that's being used. Because if, like you said, if we change a format, let's say for the next monthly cup, it's gonna change so many things. Like new type of decks has to be imagined, new strategies. We might not even see the same players end up in the tournament, which isn't like, okay, that's not a bad thing in my opinion, but it's like if people want to have these consistent stories and see some players perform consistently and get where maybe Sweden now starts getting like a fan base and people want to follow him, and they change the format to a format where he's like, oh, well, I'm not gonna play this, that's kind of sad, yeah. So I actually don't want the format to change at the moment, because I do think after seeing 2 tournaments we've seen enough variance and change that it's actually really interesting, and I really like it the way it is. So if anything, I guess if there were more tournaments to spawn next to this, then yes, maybe different formats there. But I think I like the monthly cup as is. personally. So I'm if the discussion comes up again on Discord, I will be like, no, do not change. So yeah, that's what I think.
I would only add to yours. I would actually agree with your former self a little bit, because I would actually like to see at least an option to have different tournament types. The issue is that...
Well, I want to see more tournaments, though. I want to see that, yes. But I would like the monthly cup to stay as is.
Yes. I guess what I want to say here is that adding more features, adding more tournament features is development time. So that's basically the main reason. Because if it was easy, we could just say, okay, here, select your tournament type. There's 10 different types. Then you can do this and this and this. And then we could, more easily alternate from monthly cup to monthly cup. But each decision, each direction we go with our tournament system, with our integrated tournament system, it means development time, and it means time is taken away from a lot of other stuff. So yes, I agree with a little bit of your older self with that mentality. Your older self, your younger self, actually.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But also yes, I agree. I really enjoy Pantheon. I really think it's great. I don't think that it has such. Oh, and Dan's in chat, and he's talking about it too. I don't think that there's such, as he's saying, a severe, effect on counterpicking. It's not so rock paper scissors. There's a lot involved in a game of Faeria, and it's proven. And we go back to what we said earlier. You can look at the brackets of this monthly cup and last, and see that the best players are consistently advancing. And if it were rock paper scissors, and if it were more luck based, that would not be the case. So. Every indication points to the format being reasonably good, if not great.
Yeah, I like the format. Yeah. What I would like, the thing I'm hoping for now is before next weekend a balance patch to change the, to just change things up and see what comes out of that, right? Like that's, if we get another monthly cup where I see yellow being very strong, then I'm gonna be a bit sad. Because we can't deny that yellow was still probably the best color in the tournament.
Yeah, I mean they're we've mentioned this earlier, but there'll be we'll do some adjusting. We'll do some balance adjusting. The next monthly cup certainly won't have the exact same decks because the same cards won't exist. I can't say what those changes are going to be or what they're going to be, but when
the same cards won't exist. Is it what?
Well, some of them. You know what I mean.
New cards.
when a balance patch comes, it's not just this card has changed or this card is there. It's a set of changes that work together towards a goal. So
it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting. So let's see if there's anything more to mention about this. Will we see a return of the eggs and orbs?
Good question. So
if people wait. If people are wondering what the fuck that was about, if last monthly cup, if you were watching it on Twitch, if you were watching it on Twitch, connected with a Twitch account, connected with Steam. That was a lot of things. But basically, all of the viewers of the tournament had a chance, like a random chance, to win. I think they could even get like in-game gold. They got this egg avatar, which the only way to get this has been through watching these tournaments on Twitch, and a dragon orb, which I think is the high price, the one that everybody wants, me included. I still don't have it. And that wasn't the case this monthly cup. The last one, the one that was yesterday, this feature was not there because of reasons that I think was something with the bot that handled it. It's under development, so.
So we have to make some improvements to it. We wanted to make some changes, to adjustments to it. We didn't get it done in time. We also wanted to see what it was like to not have it in the chat, to not have all the egg and orb spam, and maybe have some more conversation. But we do love the egg script, and to me, I've never had that experience as a player to be able to tune into a stream and automatically get rewards. Like there's no other game I know that does that.
You don't see me on camera now, but I'm holding up my hand. I have a point to make, like an input there. It's there's this other game that did this most amazing thing that I wish I shouldn't say I wish every developer did it, because that would make it less unique and cool. But there was this other game. It was a MOBA. It didn't succeed in the long run, but it was a MOBA. And what it did was that you connected in game, I connected my Twitch account to my player account, and if I was streaming, it somehow, it went through the Twitch API, I guess, and it's like, oh, you have this and this many viewers, and there were these different levels. So the more viewers I had, the bigger giveaways I could do once every hour through the game.
Cool.
So so people got in-game stuff like avatars, cosmetics. In this game, it was like they got a treasure chest, which they then opened in game, and it had random rewards. And this was all connected, so anyone could do this. Anyone streaming on Twitch could do this. And the more viewers they had, the better rewards, the better the chests in this case were. I think that is also like a feature that I wish more games had.
So that's the other way. That's the other way around, where the streamer is hooked into the system, and their reward and their stream is reward, and I think that's great too. I think that type of stuff is really interesting, and everybody benefits from it. So
yeah,
I would say that I would agree. I'd love to see something like that. The egg script itself it's not fully fleshed out to deal with stuff like that, but
that's obviously a Twitch bot, IRC bot. Like that's obviously a bot in its core foundation in a way.
It would be, that would be a new thing that we would have to work on, to put efforts toward. But personally, I would love to see stuff like that. I love anything where if you're watching the game, you have a chance, to win something cool. Like not that you could just camp streams and get everything in the game, but just like a little cool thing. It adds an extra just incentive or just.
I mean, if we go to the feature I mentioned, like this could be so simple things. This could be, if we invented the Faeria chests and they opened those, or maybe it's like a Faeria pack. Maybe they got, oh, you received a Pandora coin, woohoo! Like it doesn't have to be, oh, you received the full collection. That would be crazy. Well, maybe if there's like 1,000 viewers on a channel, that somebody could have that chance. But I really loved that system they had. Because it rewarded anyone who wanted to stream on Twitch. I think the lowest requirement was just to have like 10 viewers, which isn't, what's the word? It's not impossible, at least for a person to receive 10 viewers. So yeah, like it went way. I think the highest was like if you had 1,000 viewers, like the chest that somebody could get. It was still just 1 out of the 1,000. Once an hour.
Viewers.
Yeah. So it was, obviously the chance then of winning was not so big, but the one who won got really happy,
Yeah.
But it was such a cool feature because it was automated. It was tied in with the game. It obviously only worked if you played the game as well. You couldn't just be like, you had to be in the game playing and streaming. It was just beautiful concept, beautiful feature that I'm surprised to not see anyone else do that I know of. But we've seen some games tap into Twitch, but I haven't seen that type of feature yet.
I know. I have to admit, I haven't not heard of the game you're talking about. What's the name of it, by the way?
It's God, what is it? Legend? Was it? Yeah, I actually don't know. I might not even have it on my library anymore.
That's okay. You can tell me afterwards or whatever. But you're right.
It's part of a franchise that's pretty known, and they try to MOBA in their same universe. But
But yeah, why isn't everyone doing this? It seems like it's just such a great idea, and I want to see. We want to improve our Eggbot script as we're talking about, and that's why we don't have it available. We did not have it available for this last one, but we want to have it in the future, and we want to make it better. And like all you're talking about.
I found the game. It's Sins of a Dark Age.
Sins of a Dark Age.
If you remember Sins of a Solar Empire, maybe a sci-fi Sins of a So Sins of a Dark Age is their fantasy thing, and this or they have some fantasy universe type of game that is like Sins of a Solar Empire. It's Sins of a something, and Sins of a Dark Age was their MOBA game. I think it was apparently I acquired the early access DLC in 2014, so it's a while ago. But it's it's. Cool feature, something to think about now that we're talking about eggs and orbs. So about that then, will we see more stuff like that in the future? When are we gonna see more eggs and orbs?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we covered that. Hopefully, I would be very surprised if it wasn't for next monthly cup. We have it back up and running. I'd love to see it expanded in all ways possible. We have a lot of things that we're working on, and All I can say is just it's only going to get better. Eggbot's only going to get better. It may take a while. But we'll get there.
Awesome.
Nice.
Oh yeah. This thing too. What's your thoughts on the prize pool and distribution of it?
Oh, okay. Well, I think we've talked about this before, but we want to see more players have the opportunity to take something home from a tournament. So maybe they only make it to, semifinals or whatever, or lower in the bracket to get something out of it. But what we don't want to do is lower the amount of rewards we're giving to first, second, third. We want there to be a lot of impact every month for you. If you win like a Faeria tournament, we want it to be very significant.
Yeah.
So in the future, if we did anything, it would be adding more. And I can't say in the pipeline when that's coming, but that would be the direction we would want to go, rather than distributing the current amount.
Yeah, because the feedback I saw fresh off the bat was that that the semifinals were more important than the grand final and third place match. I'm not sure. I didn't get the context exactly of what the person was meaning with that, but that's what that was some of the feedback I got was that.
You could make that argument, but then if you give prizes to the semifinals, then you could say, well, now the quarterfinals are the most important.
Right,
it's never going to end.
It trickles down, I guess. But what's your thought on fourth place going home with nothing? Is that
Well, my thought.
What's your thought?
Yeah,
what's
they deserve it. They don't deserve anything.
They don't deserve it. I mean, Aquablood really put it well. I do agree with Aquablood, who said that that makes the third place match so much more exciting to watch as well, because usually people don't find like the bronze match in sports or the third place match to always be that exciting, because people want to see the grand final. But I find the third place match to be super exciting because the winner gets money.
Yes, completely right. It adds such tension.
It does.
To it. Imagine if there were no prize at all except for $3,000 to first place. Imagine how much tension there would be. But of course.
Oh my god.
But of course, we don't do that. But that's take it to extreme, and that's what you get. It adds a lot of tension and drama to it. But at the same time, we do want the monthly cup. It takes you. You have to be a pretty dedicated Faeria player to advance for the monthly cup, and those people deserve compensation and reward for their good performance. So that's what we're looking for, and that's what we're looking to do.
Yeah, and obviously, like with all these things, we're talking about money now, and I mean, there can't be an infinite pool of it, even though Abrakam has pledged a whole bunch of money for the rest of this year in tournaments, but, at the same time, a lot of that might be, now I'm just theorizing, they might be earmarked. There's obviously plans down the pipeline. It's not like Abrakam can just go and be like, all right, here's more prize money, because you asked for it. There's obviously this, the waiting of, like, if you're organizing a tournament and you're like, okay, here's the prize money, you're obviously hoping to attract a certain amount of crowd and things like that, and then you have to wait, like, okay, how popular is this tournament compared to how much we're spending, I mean, it actually becomes quite it's business, actually, I guess, in the core of it. I mean, it's not just charity here. It's running a tournament like this. Yeah, okay. I'm monologuing here, but yeah, that's what I think, and that's what people need to understand as well. I think is that we can't you can't just ask for more. And I do think also that I like the current distribution of the $3,000. It is really nice that the winner gets $1,500 and the second place gets $1,000. So even the grand final, you're fighting for $500. It's quite a lot. Like it's like 50% of second place taking. So it's a lot. So it does make the grand final, I think, really, really good.
Yeah, I would agree.
All right, we don't need to stand there anymore. I think most of my notes. I think we discussed this pretty well. I gotta say again, I guess this is more just coming from me and being, out to anyone and everyone. I really like the monthly cup format. If you didn't know, if you're watching this later or now, the monthly cup, you qualify either by being top 8 ranked player on the ladder each month, or by being voted in by the community. Is it 4 spots, right? I think it's 4 spots. There's this website, esports.faeria.com. It's going to be updated next week, and you're going to basically be able to vote on any player you like that's in the game, in the community, and whoever top 4 gets most votes, they get to play in the tournament. And then we have two monthly qualifiers. So there's gonna be, I guess, actually, let's see, this weekend. So next weekend. No.
So real quick though, I think this time we may change that up. I think we want to push that.
Announcement.
Well, no, you'll know when the esports page goes live, but don't expect what it is until we do put the esports page live, because I think it may actually work better to have it instead of right after monthly cup qualifier space qualifier cup to go monthly cup space qualifier monthly cup. That way, for any specifically for balance adjustments, right? Yeah. I mean, doesn't that make more sense? To give.
Yeah, I was looking at schedule. Also, already I was looking at not the schedule per se. I was looking just at the calendar. I was like, like I'm just feeling like, it is quite a lot.
And so the pace of monthly cups are so fast. It's difficult to any change you make to say it far enough in advance. But that's what I'm thinking.
You don't know
right
when
now.
the qualifiers are going to be yet, then?
Well, I can tell you what I want them to be. I will know for sure Monday when I talk to the rest of the team. But I would like to have a break and then do qualifier, then monthly cup. That's my intention.
It also makes it more of a circuit or league or something like that, almost. Like, it makes it feel like it's something that happens, boom, 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 and it's the championship, right? And then a little bit of a break. I think
and the break would serve multiple purposes, specifically for balance adjustments and for people to adjust. And it's during this period, the monthly cup we're still learning how it best operates. So I think that this is actually the best way, a better way for it to operate.
Because if you drop, let's say theoretically you drop a balance patch Monday, Tuesday, maybe as late as Wednesday, then they theoretically have about 2 weeks to actually figure out what to bring to the first qualifier.
Exactly.
And
like
for the meta to settle a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
And ArcSight is wondering, that was the first thing I said when we saw Atmaz picture is, why is there a tank in the background? Where are you playing Faeria?
Don't you guys play Faeria next to a bunch of tanks? That's what I do.
It's actually pretty cool. But yeah, I like the sound of that. I'm in support. You have my vote.
That's our new Faeria Go app, by the way. You can just walk around and play
Faeria Go. Oh no!
In augmented reality. Just
no. Oh no! I know how this is gonna look like. This is Faeria Go, where you not only build the board, you build the world. It's augmented reality. You go.
Like you move your hand and then like a mountain forms up next to you. Yeah.
Oh god. Pokemon Go, what have you done? What have you done? Oh, that's hilarious. Just make a new Kickstarter. We can see that as an expansion. Okay. Yeah, so basically the next big thing here on our list is I basically, now that we have a community manager, guys, I really wanted to be able to talk about some of the Faeria features. If you go to like the Steam page, I basically just copy pasted, the things that they would like to include. This does say by version 1.0. So maybe like I don't know if Atmaz can even respond to this at all. I expect no, but do you guys know Atmaz? No. Do you guys know when in September free to play happens?
So I want to say, if you read what that says, because let me read exactly. You're reading from the Steam page, is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm looking at my notes, but
your notes, okay. So yeah, I believe we say by September, right? So by September, we will have version 0.8 out, which if you read the roadmap post we made a couple weeks ago, we would say the current version is 0.7. The next big version will be 0.8. Whenever 0.8 drops, that's free to play. That will happen
Oh, okay.
by September.
What does by September mean grammatically? I'm Swedish. I don't know this shit.
Okay, so by means at or
That's the
before.
latest point, basically.
It won't be past September.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it could be in the middle of or at the end of September as well, right?
It could be.
Could be next week.
According to it could be. It's that's the language of it. If you want to break it down to technicality.
So that's what I'm trying to understand. When you say, not beyond, but I mean, by September still, I mean, grammatically means, because I expect it to be in September sometime.
I mean, it could be. That's the intention for that for free to play. Is point 8 comes out by September, free to play with it. After that, whenever that happens, we go to point 9 with other major features. Because by the way, point 8 will have other major features besides free to play. It's not just free to play button switch. There will be some things. Mm-hmm. And then point 9, and then within 6 months, I believe we put out in the roadmap. Within 6 months, from that roadmap post. We will have the full 1.0 full release, no longer early access, Faeria version with other important features. So yeah, that's what. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
By September.
Yeah, by September
okay.
Means in September.
Yeah,
right?
I can't. No. If you're looking for a date, I can't give you a date, but because I don't know the date. But it will be by September, and that is the full. All engines, all gears are turning towards that, and that would be, it's coming. It's coming.
All right. Okay. So I'm also looking at the clock, and I don't want to keep Atmaz here for like a 3-hour marathon, and I also wrote our notes. So before we actually dig into this, we'll just take like a 5-minute short break, get to stretch our legs, get some beverage to lubricate our throats if we need that. So we'll be back in maximum 5 minutes, so Scorch and Atmaz can, I don't know what you guys do when you stretch your legs, smoke, drink. Atmaz has 4 dogs he probably needs to pet.
Oh my God.
There's one on my lap this whole time, but she probably needs to go take a...
You need to share a picture of those. I'm really curious.
They work. Yeah, I'll pull some. I'll find one and get it to you.
Awesome. I like dogs. I'm a dog person. Yeah. All right. That has nothing to do with Faeria. We'll be back in 5 minutes tops.
Sounds good.
All right.
Alrighty, here we go. We're back after having a little bit of a break. I definitely did refill my glass with some cheap cheap Red Bull copy. They were out of Red Bulls the other day when I was at this like what I don't know what you call that. Like I mean, it's a grocery store, but it's like like a tiny one that is just nearby I can walk to.
Convenience store.
Yeah, convenience store. I guess that's the word. Yeah, there you go. Learning English on the Kappa Council. I mean, people tell me that, oh, your English is so good, like, oh, la, la, like, well, not on a daily basis, but and usually it's, usually I think it's other people who, just like me, are not native English, but,
your English is way better than my Swedish, so.
There you go. That's actually very true. But it's more the fact that, like, depending on what we talk about, like, I can talk about games, computers, technology, but as soon as you go into an area which you've never discussed or used your English in, and you're like, yeah, like, what is a convenience store? Or, like, at my day job where I work in alcohol retail and I'm supposed to explain to an English person how a wine tastes, or, why this wine is better than this with a certain dish of food, yeah, that's tough. Like, that's words I've never heard in English or know. So it all depends on the area that, of discussion, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, we were just getting started with just talking about some of the features that is listed on the Steam page of Faeria. As this is for these features are aimed to be included in the 1.0 release, according to an announcement earlier from the developers. That is about 6 months or so from now. We just talked about this before the break, that free-to-play, or I usually try and call it free-to-access, because that's, people say, oh, free-to-play. I mean, the game technically is free-to-play once you're in, but there's obviously this little payment wall to get in during the current early access. But in September, by September, sometime we'll have the free-to-play happen, like when people can. I usually say the floodgates open. We're gonna, there's no paywall. Like, anyone who wants to play the game could just pick it up and just start playing, and that's gonna be. I'm excited about that. I'm looking forward to that. But these features we might talk about might not be included by then, but actually further down the line. We don't know exactly when. I'm not sure Atmaz is gonna leak any such information, but we're at least gonna discuss some of them and what we would like to see, or maybe even hear Atmaz explain what their thoughts and ideas are for some of them. We're not gonna go through everything, because I mean, the first one is game interface improvements. So yeah, we're not gonna ask what that is exactly. Because, to me that just feels like, yeah, well, obviously we're gonna see improvements on the interface and things, and
yeah, pretty much every patch has game interface improvements.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. But the next thing is the maybe most exciting thing, because people ask for in-game chat and stuff, and no, guys, it's not in-game chat. The topic is emotes, which I think most people will relate to Hearthstone, where you can go like, "Well played," "Screw you." I don't think that exists, but that's actually what "well played" means in Hearthstone. Is you're bad. But here's where we can obviously theorize a little bit. You guys in Twitch chat or YouTube comments can obviously share what do you want to see, because the developers read all this. So what's your ideas, guys? Let us know. And before we let Atmaz get away with that, Scorch, what do you want to see as emotes?
Probably just like the basics of saying like the hello, well played, oops, that sort of, like, it's kind of the same thing of what Hearthstone does. What I'm interested in is to what level we get them, because, like, the comparison to Hearthstone is made, you have different ones for each class that you're playing, but Faeria doesn't have classes, so I'm wondering if there's going to be different ones that are the same, saying well played, but there'll be well played and there'll be good game, but you can only put one, or maybe put like 3 or 4 emotes that you're using at a time in game, but you can change those up. So
maybe they're tied with the avatars.
It could be. That'd be a cool one to see too.
Maybe in the language of what the avatars speak. I have no idea what that would be, but it would be freaking great.
It'd be cool for the because the avatars you can get some of the ones that are the like the solo AI missions, like Aurora and Torum, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Those ones would be cool to see have their own.
Just some
emotes.
flavor to them, at least. Like
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it could be the same thing. Like, well played could exist in all of them, but the way they say it or the way it's presented could be a bit different.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea. Atmaz, what do you want?
Yeah, well, I want everything. I will say, you know, I can never say exactly what you're going to get or what we're going to give, because firstly, that would make it much less impactful when it does come out, and kind of kill the hype for it. But also because I don't know 100% everything, but I do know stuff we've talked about, and I can say that we don't plan on it just being like, I think mentioned it, just being like Hearthstone, like just having it. Just that sort of system.
I would not. Yeah, it would feel bad if people could go like, oh, this is just a copy.
There are some really cool ideas I've heard, and I'm personally excited for it. But yeah, like a lot of my answers for this stuff, I hope it doesn't disappoint you too much. But I can't give you specifics because it kind of kills the hype and kind of diminishes the product once it reaches people. You know?
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, this has been discussed a lot on Discord. I you know, and being, you know, being one of the Kickstarter backers, yes, I am an elitist. I am just better than everyone else. Of course not, but I backed the game back in Kickstarter, and so I have history of being in the community and seeing the communication from the developers, and you know, of course we expect whatever this emote system to be Faeria flavored, right? Like, of course we are expecting something yaktastic, you know?
It's got to fit the model of the game, right? So one model doesn't work across the board for everybody. We're going to have to, it's going to be unique. It's going to be unique to Faeria. The object will be to communicate simple things after events happen in the game to the opponent. Now, whether or not people start using them in unintended ways, you know, we can't really control that. Like if somebody does a misplay and then all of a sudden you know, say like a yak, what sound does a yak make? I don't even know. A yelp. I don't know what they're but you know, that's the intention, is to give that, to be able to communicate on a basic level during the game. Yep. And react to things, to give you reactions to things.
Let's see. I'm actually, if you guys are coming with questions in Twitch, I'm actually gonna add them to my document, so we'll go to them at the end rather than just jump on them instantly. Because push me, I like that. We'll bring it up and just brainstorm a bit around that. I think I have a note for it somewhere. But yeah, emotes. Super excited about what it will be. I hope, basically, I think from all of this, I hope that will be basically the next thing we see. I would love for that to be in as soon as possible. Do you know, Atmaz, whether it's the next big thing?
Emotes, you're asking?
Yeah. Like, how far away would you? How far away is it? Do you think that? Like, is it okay? So you mentioned version 0.7. That's now 0.8. Would be...
It will be in the game by 1.0. I mean that's what so within 6 months. There, I know some next things. I know other next things. I can just say emotes. Our goal is to get in by 1.0 in the full release. We won't consider Faeria full release until emotes are in the game. That's what it is.
That's horrible. All right. Okay. Improved spectator mode is the next note here. Being, you know, we have a spectator mode. Actually, it's kind of funny. Me as a streamer and reading Discord on a daily basis. Heck, even from bed. Like, sometimes when I chat, I'm literally in bed. So you guys can imagine that next time you see me chatting. And it's just that improved spectator, like the spectator mode in game was added pretty quickly for the $5,000 tournament that happened some months ago. What is the improved one gonna be like? Or like, what are we? Do you have any idea, Atmaz, what features people have been requesting, or what more you guys want to do to make it even more? So
this is a unique thing where it's not so much people have been requesting things, but it's things we want to improve on or to push. We want to make specifically for you guys, for streamers, we want, and for tournament broadcasting from yesterday, you know, we want there to be better, you know, better presentation, just smoother everything involving the spectator mode, and specifically with broadcasters in mind. So, you know, what specific changes, you know, it's going to be the standard answer. I don't want to say exactly because it removes all hype whatsoever from the thing, but you know, that's our intention in this regard, is to specifically improve it with streamers and broadcasters in mind.
Scorch, do you know anything with the spectator mode that you're like missing or that you would like to add if you could?
I know one of the things like people have talked about is just the ability to hop in and out of spectating games. So it's not just set up the lobby and that's the only way you can do it.
Spectate your friends' games?
Yeah, like just, you know, pull up your friends list and jump in to watch them play.
That's actually what people are asking for. Yeah, that was what I was going to get to at the beginning. There was actually that people come, they're like, oh, there's no spectator mode. There was even a thread on Reddit where I actually replied, yes, there is. And they're like, what? Where? How do I find it? I explained it. And they're like, really? They didn't, like, they were so happy that there was a way for them to start a private lobby with their friends and that they could spectate. Like, they didn't know it existed. Which I don't know how do you fix that, but at least, you know, spreading information, I informed them of that. But people do want to have a way to spectate their friends' matches on the ladder, per se. Is that something, Atmaz, you think we're going to see in the future?
So we've talked about that sort of thing. We love that sort of thing. There are a lot of games that do that, and currently our infrastructure doesn't support it. You know, it's not designed to do that. But, you know, if you're going to ask me, are we going to see in the future? I can't say yes or no, but it's something that we've talked about and would definitely, I 100% agree, would make it so much better, both for streamers and for just more importantly, just the casual player who wants to have a list of games to look at, jump in, look at it, and see a game in progress and learn the game and see what other people are doing. That's what I think the most important aspect of that sort of change would be. You know, a lot of other games do it. I come from Scrolls, where Scrolls it's a beautiful. No other game matched it. And if we could get to that level of ease of spectating, ease of replays, and things like that, would be wonderful.
Replay mode.
Yeah.
Yep. Pouch Me in Twitch chat actually gave a really interesting input, which I haven't even thought about, which was that the best improvement they could do is put 10 minutes delay in the spectator mode, so streamer and viewers are watching and discovering the game at the same time, and streamers can interact more with the Twitch chat, which is good. That's a great input, though. Like, just be able to have a delay on the spectator mode in the game. Now that I'm saying it and I'm thinking of how the spectator mode works, unfortunately, this is how it works, Pouch Me, is that for, say, one of the streamers, spectators, usually, creates a lobby, invites the players that are going to be streamed, you know, just like you would in any game where you create a match, a lobby. So we have all these spectators and we have the players who's going to play, and it's set to, like, best out of 3, and so the lobby even takes care of the whole, you know, who defeats who, because there's actually like a tournament lobby specifically designed for the monthly cup that we're using. That is actually what the tournament lobby is when you invite somebody, is that you can make it so that it takes that into account. So if we were to put a 10-minute delay there, would that mean the players have to start the game and we just have to wait 10 minutes to actually see the game? That's where things get technical and difficult, I think, to figure out how to do. But it would be lovely if we could figure it out. It would be lovely if we could.
So we're all talking about theoretical features here, but if we do want to go into it, yeah, I mean, the way we did it in Scrolls was exactly that. There was a delay on all games, and all streams were live, and it's just that
it's doable. Okay.
The streamers waited for the game to begin, and it was live commentary. It gives you more Twitch interaction,
which is awesome.
And you just have to wait for the game to begin, just like everybody else does. So in theory, everyone would be able to watch it at the same time the stream does.
That is
all theoretical stuff, but it's doable.
It's kind of funny though, because I mean, sure, the thing that the monthly cup, I mean, these tournaments coverage lack because of the delay is the Twitch interaction, where we can't really, there's yeah, we can't really interact with the chat. But
yeah, that's the biggest. That's the not to interrupt you. That's the biggest thing for me is that there's little chat interaction. There's no chat interaction with a 10-minute delay.
But the cool thing still, when you're looking at the Twitch VODs, where Twitch added this lovely feature now, which is the Twitch chat replay. You actually see the Twitch chat that happened at the time of the stream, and at least that is synced like that, because they get they react to what they see when they see it. So at least when you're watching the VODs and you see how the chat reacts to plays, at least that's synced, thank God. It would be weird, very weird otherwise, but at least that's synced. But yeah, it would be that's just a great input from Twitch out there. Thank you, PouchMe, for that. I think that's definitely worth thinking about, and it sounds like Atmaz already knew about this. Coming from Scrolls, where apparently was a feature. I never played that, so I have no experience with that game.
If there's one thing I think that anyone should take away from Scrolls, it's just it had just such a great model of spectating and replays. I don't want to keep harping on Scrolls. It was a big influence on me. And whenever I have the opportunity to suggest things or to improve on things, I'll always say, hey, this works. We can do this sort of thing. So it's not a matter of that it can't be done, by the way. Like, it's not a matter of we have no way of doing it. It's just a matter of doing it, setting aside the development time to work toward these things.
When there's all these stop working on the emotes, start working on the delay feature. So it's the developer's job, Jean-Michel and everyone to sit around and say, okay, here's the 10,000 things we need to do. What needs to be done by when? And it's going down that list, and that's why, a lot of times the answer to a question is, why don't we have this? Well, because we're working on these other 100 things. Time, and we're not a 100-man development team.
Yes. So the goal of this roadmap that we're putting out, that's on the Steam store, that's on our blog, on our webpage.
Yep.
Is to tell people what those priorities are. This is what we're working towards. So
yeah. Det Jimmy McNulty, I hope I did it. Did your nickname justice. In the area of spectating, what about replays of your games being available? Duelist has it already, and they can be stored locally, like Heroes of the Storm does it, so it won't add any other server costs. Yeah, I mean, I guess technically the way that you would do replays is that you would make them stored locally. That would be the perfect way of doing it, so they take little space, a lot of data. But yeah, replay system. I mean, we touched it here now, and it seems to be something that they are thinking about, right, Atmaz?
Yes. No, I mean,
Do you think replay, do you tie that, because I would just tie it with spectator mode, but I guess it is more a feature of its own. But do you think it's something?
It's in line. It's in line with all of that. Yes, it would not be a far step to suddenly get replays if we're suddenly able to spectate matches. It would be along the same vein. So with one, I would expect the other. But yeah.
Well, in the future, man. The future is distant and very long, but in the future,
yes. Correct.
The future is not. How do you say? It's not limited. All right. Next thing here is complete PvE mode. I assume the PvE mode we have now is the. I guess it's called challenges, right? Like it's you do these different challenges to unlock your. Basically, it's what I recommend every new player to the game. If you're a new player to the game, defeat the AI in all the different challenges to unlock all the rewards, so you have a good foundation to start building your collection from. If you skip that part, you're gonna be behind by far. Like you're gonna
very limited in what
you're gonna be missing so many basic good staple cards that just do it. And it's also a good learning curve because you see some different type of what do you call it? Archetypes. You see some different archetypes of decks by the AI that might inspire you to build something yourself. But yeah, what can we expect there then, Atmaz? Complete PvE mode.
So PvE is a big thing. Like that's one of the big things being worked on right now. I don't want to. I really don't like to say this every time, but I really don't want to say it. Even though I know a lot about this particular one, it's going to be cool. It's going to be awesome. There's a lot of thought being put into it, and nice. It's not something that's just going to be tacked on pasted in to check in the box. It'll be interesting. There'll be a lot to expect in that area to keep, because there's a lot of people in the game who don't want to be stressed out by playing multiplayer, jump into ranked and get in these highly competitive matches, or feel like they're being stomped on, or they are at a disadvantage. Some people just want to log on and play solo stuff, PvE stuff, and so we want to have that more, because right now, like you said, there's the divine challenges and there's the AI. There's a skirmish versus AI. We want a lot more than that.
Mm-hmm. I do think that the AI stuff we have in the game already, even though I don't use it at all, like on a daily basis or here, but like I was at DreamHack Summer representing Faeria. It was actually there. It was so perfect to use those for to showcase the game to people, because there's no turn timer, so it was so great to be able to discuss the turns and just talk about the game. And when you're showing it to a new person, they're just perfect. Like heck, even if you are to perhaps coach a friend or coach anyone who's really new to the game and teach them the game, just don't go into the not even the unranked. Just use some of these AI challenges to start thinking about what's if you want to showcase like land placement strategies, some basic thumb of rule type of stuff in certain ways of playing. Then actually the AI challenges are just amazing to use for that, I think. But it would be really cool to see what more more tougher challenges, or just more what PvE stuff, like what more we can get from that. I haven't seen much of that in card games myself, but it makes me a little bit excited, because I would like to see challenges so tough that it's like, I did it, world's first, like
Yeah.
Well, all I could say is stand by.
Spot Lethal could be
nice.
a thing if you've seen that YouTube show by Joke. Spot Lethal, just make that a feature in the game. Like those puzzles. That would be great, by the way.
That'd be good, because
that would actually be... Just imagine that, like just solving those puzzles, even though some of those are... like, how... Nobody ever has that many vine walls. I'm not sure if it's up yet. That's... yeah.
Imagine that.
Alright, I'm getting disturbed on my phone. But that would be great. New cosmetics. I guess this basically involves, we're gonna see more avatars, more orbs, more card backs. That's what we have now. I can't even imagine what other cosmetics there would or could be. I guess board types, backgrounds, stuff like that. But what? I mean.
Well, this is pretty straightforward. I mean, we haven't had new cosmetics in a long time. Orbs, avatars, card backs are something that we've so far limited to seasons, but it's something that could be in the store as well. Basically, we're going to have more of them because we need more of them, and people are requesting more of them. And I've seen some of them. They're going to be great. They're awesome. I wish I could show you.
You could show me. I mean, you could.
I could, and then I would not have a job. But it's good. It's good stuff. They put a lot of detail into this stuff, and people want. One of the things is people say, we have nowhere to spend our money. We want to spend our gold on stuff, but there's nothing.
Yeah, and who are you guys to be like, no?
Yeah, I mean,
we don't want your money. Development costs nothing.
You get nothing. Yeah, so it's just more. Yeah, we're gonna have more stuff.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. Oh god, I can't wait. I mean, I have such a hard time. Like I don't think I have any like super precious orb because I'm still waiting for that dragon orb. But I'm still using the Kickstarter orb, which I don't know. To me it looks like it's. The other ones looks more detailed and more like high res, and this one looks not so high res, but it's like I like it, and it's so funny when people are able to interact with me when they see, they're like, where did you get that orb? Why that orb? I'm like, I'm a Kickstarter backer, and I did not pick full collection on the first email. Because that was actually the choice if you're watching this, and, well, you don't know which orb I'm talking about now, maybe, but if you play Scream 112 in-game, you'll see what orb I have. And it's a Kickstarter reward. Kickstarter backers got to choose whether they wanted that orb and some other stuff, but basically that orb, which is exclusive, or full collection. And my first choice was the orb, and then I went and got full collection. Because I was like, I need the swag. It's more important sometimes, and so I'm just basically waiting for more cool avatars and orbs in the game, and I think that's definitely something that everyone wants more of. So hopefully soon.
It's one of those things that everybody wins because it doesn't affect the balance of the game. Everyone wants it, so yeah, more the better.
Just more. The next one I think is really exciting. Like there's basically two games, maybe three. Pokemon Go is nice, but there's basically three games, two games that makes me want to buy a tablet, and Faeria being one of them. But I don't want an iPad, and that's what you were looking for testers for. But yeah, like I can't wait for that. And it says tablet support is something hopefully, or should be by the version 1.0. A lot of people are asking for phone, tablet, but I guess it's safe to assume that you guys are aiming for the bigger monitor, right? Like you're gonna aim for tablet and not phones, right?
It's going, yeah. I mean, it's gonna be tough to squeeze it all on a phone's display, so it'll be tablets. Expect if you have any reasonably sized tablet for it to be supported. For iOS testing, it is going to be iPad testing only. So yeah. So
what you're saying is that iOS is the first supported OS.
Yep. If you missed it in our last Faeria Friday post, maybe I can link that in chat. We are opening applications for iOS testing for iPad.
No, I saw that. But like, okay. So Android support, please.
Well, that's it's a different line of development, but yes, fully intended to have Android tablet support. But of course, it's different. It's not. You can't really do both at the same time. It's its own little set of testing and smoothing out and getting it ready for the Apple Store and all that stuff. So we want to do both.
Why right you choose Apple?
Well, we'll get it all. We'll get it all done in the end.
Well, I hope they pay you well for that exclusive.
No, yeah, nothing like that.
But yeah, no, I don't think so either. It's just yeah, I'm looking like if I'm getting a tablet, it's probably gonna be Android. I'm Android. I like the choices of devices over one. So that's basically what I like. But yeah, it's exciting. I also heard from some people saying that the game actually runs pretty well on the Windows tablets because it's Windows. Like they're basically a PC. That it works like it basically works.
So we don't fully support it, but yeah, I mean, you can. It's a pretty good spot. Like you can pretty much just do it, and it works almost. It's pretty in a pretty great state without even being officially supported. So
yeah, that's what's so cool. So I mean, if people do have a Windows tablet that has decent performance, they could at least try and see how it runs. I'm not getting a Windows tablet, but I'm getting Android. But it's pretty cool. I like it. And it's good for you guys to know watching this. We're gonna go on to a much more cooler thing, even though I'm not sure again if Atmaz can say anything. But we're hoping he says something, because at least 10 new cards in the core set. I think we've received one. The 3 Wishes was the first, right? So we need 9 more.
Yeah. Well,
tell us everything about them.
Okay, well, there'll be Krog's Keg. It does +3. No, there'll be 10 more from that. So the intention is to at least have 10 by the 1.0 release. That will be part of the core collection. Anyone who has already bought it will already get these cards. We want to give. We know that people need more content. We can't just say wait till after early access, then we'll start releasing expansions. So we want to trickle in some content, some extra cards to mix things up and fill some holes that might need to be filled. And that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean that's all there really is to say about that.
Yeah, Scorch, what are we hoping the next card is?
Oh, I don't know if I have anything specific that I
maybe Twitch chat or YouTube comments has ideas for what the next card could or should be. I mean, I'm still waiting. Yeah, we're gonna wait. Where did I put that shit? I think I deleted that. Didn't I? No, it's coming down. It's coming further down. All right. Well, we're gonna get back to that, but I really want my idea for a card, as I've said always, is it's probably need to be legendary, but a legendary giant toad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you heard this before. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I'm gonna stick with this just with the ambient sound options. Giant jumping legendary toad. So maybe King of Toads. There you go. There's
I got it. A giant legendary toad. Last words. When this giant legendary toad dies, all of your ambient sounds are turned to maximum.
Okay, now that would be cruel. No. So when this jumps, where it lands, it does 1 damage to all adjacent structures and enemies.
Oh, that is pretty cool.
Yeah, something like that. Like that's what's. Well, it could be 2 damage, 3. Like I mean, but that's the mechanic. Like it has jump. It's a giant toad, right? So when it lands, it damages things nearby.
There's so much design space in Faeria that, I mean, that's one great design that I love, and there's probably a million more.
See,
so.
he loved it, guys. He loved it. He said he loved it.
Confirmed. Giant toad confirmed. But no,
Yeah.
I mean, I can't speculate at all what you'll see. But the design team is, they come up with some pretty cool stuff. So expect them to be some interesting cards. Whether or not a giant toad, I can't say.
I don't know. It's just I don't even know. Like it was just it was way back, like early stage of the early access. I think it was just when we talked, like it just came up, like, and I was like, this, like I just got the idea and it's just stuck, and I'm like, I really want that card. I don't care if it's OP or not OP. I don't know. I love that design idea of a jumping giant toad. Anti-Red says he wants angry yaks, happy yaks, outrageous yaks, all the yaks.
Adjective yaks.
Yeah, when's the yak mage coming? Like, we need more of that. Okay. I mean, so beyond 1.0, there's obviously gonna be more stuff, and like Atmaz keeps saying, there is announcements on the Faeria.com website under news. You can find a lot of the stuff there. I obviously did not have that one opened where it says about the road ahead, but yeah, you'll find it there. Somebody on Twitch will probably get a link to it. But expansions is definitely a very cool topic and a very cool thing, but it is so far in the future. But how much can you tell us, Atmaz? Like, what's the general gist of that? Like, I guess it's after 1.0, but is it like, yeah?
So one thing we wanted to communicate was that we want to be able to have expansions, but we don't want to get to a point where players are unable to catch up. Like, say they jump into the game and there's just so many cards that have been released previously, it takes so long of a grind for them to get to a level where they're competitive, right? So when we announced we'd be doing these expansions, what we mentioned is they're not going to be purchasable right away as like a core set, right? Which a lot of people were speculating. But by doing that, we remove a lot of the game. Like, we remove a lot of the sense of progress people enjoy from playing Faeria, to be able to obtain all the cards. But the important thing that we want to get out, though, because a lot of people reacted to that and said negatively, we don't want to remove the core thing is we don't want to remove the ability for people to reasonably catch up. Right, to just get to the same level where everyone are. So the exact details of that, we don't have, but don't be surprised, if over time we make, the expansions more accessible over time. How those expansions are going to come out and the number of cards that will be in each, what will encompass each expansion, that's not something that's set in stone. Keep in mind, we're talking about 6 months in the future from now, right?
Yeah. So there's going to be more Kappa Councils before then. We can.
Yeah. We're far at this point. We're far into the future. So I mean,
if version 1.0 is estimated 6 months from now, then I mean, then an expansion. Like, I would expect an expansion like 9 months from now, maybe.
And that's part of the reason, since that is a long period of time. That's part of the reason why we're introducing new cards to the core set, because we want to keep things fresh. So
which I think is great, actually. I'm really happy when you guys said we're gonna release a few more cards to the core set, because it will, even if it's just a card here and there, it will feel like we're getting so much more stuff into the game, it will like we just saw what 3 Wishes did, so
and we're producing these cards while we're working on all these other important features at the same time, right? And we get the small amount of cards. Imagine how much we can produce once one of our focuses is
Yeah.
expansion content. So
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, you guys have what, 2 designers, game designers, right?
it's a little more nebulous than that. There's the design team. There's Jean-Michel, there's Dan Felder, and then there's Martin, who has a lot of influence on design. And it's almost like everyone.
Yeah, I mean, you're guys
has-
like a
has a say.
tight-knit group, right? Like sure, somebody might be called this game designer, but like you are all sitting there giving input and coming up with ideas. Like this is not like, oh, I'm game designer, I say so, and then that's it. Like, yeah, I mean, this is an indie game actually,
Right.
if we're talking about game development.
Right. It's a lot more organic than, this person does that, this person does that. But there are, as far as the core designers, I would say it's Jean-Michel, he's the lead, and then Martin, who's another one of the founders, and then Dan Felder, who's a dedicated game designer. So
Yeah.
at least at the minimum those 3, but then
And then everyone else. All right. Well, basically, what I was getting at was that some people. I'm pretty sure Dan isn't doing graphics, right?
No.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So what I'm saying is that while somebody's working on something, somebody drawing up these ideas and designs, like there's just so much multitasking, so that a lot, like I can only imagine the pile of ideas for cards that you guys have, like that
Well,
might
I know-
not be fleshed out, but might just be like, oh, here's a concept, like
I know Dan specifically, like whenever there's an idea, he can crank out like 10 in a minute, and he probably has like a backlog of like 1,000. But
So 1,000 cards confirmed.
yeah. No, what I mean is like there's no shortage of ideas. Like ideas are there, and it's the best one that wins out in the end. So.
And then you have the community, and I guess we'll just tie into that. I haven't even taken part of this myself, but if people go to playfaeria.com, I'm doing it as I speak. Then there's this thing, deck creation and view. I think that's the thing I'm looking at, right? No, that's not what I'm looking at. Where's the voting?
You want the
Yep.
the weekly design contest?
Yes, it's awesome. But of course it wasn't straight on the website. But there's a design contest going on where people just make and design cards, and you vote on people's cards. And I guess this is actually third party and has nothing to do with the development team, but that's just such a great source for the developers to tap into and look at and be like, oh, here's some really cool concepts. Oh, here's some really cool ideas that might make it into the game in the long run.
And I do want to make a little plug about that. I don't know if you know this, but if you win that contest, you get a special little badge on our forums. So there you go. I just made that the other day, this week. We're giving out badges
really?
for it. Yeah. Yeah, a little badge.
Yeah, well, I'm probably gonna enter my toad then. I'll enter my giant jumping toad. That'll be cool. But there's also these things. Okay, so I'm just reading off here then. How are you planning on involving the community in your development process? And it says every one of us is a part of our community. We are gamers first. We're open to all ideas, big or small, through our various channels. Those ideas will help us shape the future of Faeria in terms of features, polishings, and platforms. We will also do Reddit AMA, voting contests about the most wanted features, run a Discord channel. Well, the Discord channel, you can check that. The Discord channel is up and running, boys. I really like this voting contest about the most wanted features. So
that's kind of like an ongoing thing that we're pretty much already... Like, if we had a voting contest right now, we would probably be able to know, as how deep we are in the community every day, we would probably be able to predict the top answers, knowing what people want every single day. Gareth and I and Eminer and even the team itself, we're... the community managers read all the different media, but the developers themselves are also reading it as well. So we're lucky enough to be able to know what people want right now, the general pulse of the community. Also, we had a big survey, if you remember, not long ago, where we got a lot of feedback in this regard for what exactly people want, which we broke down and analyze into.
Do you have any numbers? How many people participated?
I mean, they're somewhere. I don't have them right now. It was a lot of people. It was a good percentage of
like
of
10, 20?
the playing population. No. I mean, it was a lot of people.
That's me joking, guys. I hope you. I think everybody understands that I'm joking. Like this is what I do. But yeah, no, I know there was more than 10 people. There were people everywhere.
And then we also have, for whenever we have big changes, we have our vanguards that are a group of testers that, for the big changes that come, they kind of sanity check it and give their feedback, and that's the additional layer of player reaction before we release it to the quote unquote masses. And yeah, so I guess that pretty much covers that area. I think the Reddit AMA, well, we already did. A lot of questions came through and answered that. That was. That's not to say this is the last one, but I think that having another one soon is kind of too soon. Like,
yeah.
You could certainly have another.
You can do those with a few, with a big gap between, so that people come up with a lot of new questions, and yeah, you don't get the same one repeated. 701 responses according to See Me Scrolling. That's Gareth, right?
Yeah, that's Gareth.
Yeah. Okay, I got it. I was like, God, I hope I'm not having that wrong. See, I know some of you guys. All right. Well, that's that. I like, time is flying away when we're going through these things, and it's so much fun and a pleasure. Really, we must talk Pandora quickly. Because I feel like that was, God, I realized I didn't probably have a good enough note for Pandora. I was at the top there though. But a major thing happened, guys. If you're watching this and you haven't played for, I think, a week. Was it a week ago? Yeah, it was probably. Me and Time.
It was the Friday, right?
Yeah.
When the Pandora patch came down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was.
He's scrolling. I can hear it.
Was it 20?
well, to get the exact date, yeah, it should be the. No. 29th? Oh, God. Why?
Friday.
Why? Yeah.
All right. So it's been basically a week of the new Pandora experience, and oh my God. Okay. I mean, I loved Pandora before, and I loved and hated the Pandora before, because I really didn't like the shards. I really didn't like the randomness of it, and the more that you guys scaled it down, the randomness of it, and even removed some, like, it actually got worse, I think, because it wasn't as varied. Is that a word? It wasn't as yeah. It felt like it was the same stuff over and over again. Those drums and all that shit.
Yeah.
But but the most awesome thing here, guys, if you're watching this, is that these developers do listen. I mean, I never hesitated in that. I mean, I gave them my feedback on Discord. I said that I really didn't like the randomness of it. I really want a pure draft mode where I draft my cards and I play. And they did eventually hint that we are working on it. We are changing it. There's something coming. And they dropped this new Pandora mode, the changes, where they removed the shards. I'm not even gonna explain how the shards worked if you haven't tried it. It was a thing. It's gone. But they added something called treasure cards, which is cards that are not in the core set collection. This is special, unique cards that only exist in the Pandora draft mode. So you draft your deck like you would in many games. You get 5 cards to choose from, and you draft 30 cards. But at 3 intervals, it's after you drafted your 10th card, you get to pick 1 treasure card. So you get a choice of 3. 3 treasure cards, and these have different effects, and you get to pick 3 of those. So after you pick your 10th card, 20th, and 30th. So the last thing you do is pick a 3rd treasure card. And so you'll have these 3, but you don't, as far as if I'm wrong here, you guys gotta cut me off, but as far as I've experienced and played, whenever you play the game, every now and then, like randomly shuffled into your deck, there is these shards that don't do anything other than end up in the Pandora, I guess. And after 5 of those been drawn, Pandora happens. It's a mechanic that changes a little bit of the mechanics of the game, and at that point, both players draw one of these 3 treasure cards that they drafted, and they are quite effectful. They come in very different effects, but they are you usually pick those that fit with your deck and strategy, but they are very impactful. That's all I can say. Like, some of them are crazy, some of them are just a little bit crazy. And yeah, the game changes a lot of that, but and it's a bit random, but the thing people complained about before, because the shards did some similar things, but they were out of your control, and people complained about the randomness of that. Here, you draft the treasure cards. So basically, I guess you have one... Since you have 3 treasure cards, it's one third of a chance you get the one you might want or need, but you pick 3 that you think is good. It's less random, and it's really impactful, and it's really fun. Obviously, this needs balancing, because some of them are crazy, again, but, I mean, crazy good. Like, it's actually, it's crazy good. What do you think, Scorch? Scorch hasn't talked much. Atmaz, you be quiet.
Sorry.
Scorch, what do you think? Because you play this now.
I love the new system to it. I didn't mind the old one. I only had maybe like a handful of games where I actually got wrecked by the RNG of it. But it's enough that I love the changes that are made. Some of the treasure cards, like you said, are really overpowered. Maybe not overpowered, but because they're supposed to be a late game-changing card. But, for example, the Clockwork Yak, yes, it's a really big body, but it doesn't make the instant impact that some of the other cards do. So I think that's really important.
I didn't pick that card, and my Twitch chat instantly pointed out when I lost my match that if you had the Yak, you would have not lost there. I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's what I've seen so far, is you kind of need them to be an instant impact. I got wrecked by an Earthfire Shaker the one time. And I've been trying different ones in the drafts that I've done so far, just because I want to try all of them out. But
a question quickly then, really Atmaz, just tell us, how many treasure cards are there?
30. Oh no, yeah, 30.
Wow, I don't think I've seen half of them.
Well, I went through and looked at, because Faeria did an article on it and said, here's all the cards. Yeah. So I went through and looked at all of them, and I really like that we see, there's the Yak one that actually brings back what the old Yak attack used to be, which is really cool. There's some that are the same as what the shards were, like the drums is still there. So it's really cool they've just shifted it into this instead. There's, the Magda one, which was Magda's old effect, so.
Yeah, I mean, Twitch chat, YouTube comments, what do you guys think about the Pandora? I mean, let us know. I really want to hear what people think about this, because I think it's pretty damn good. I mean, this is definitely 100% an improvement over what we had before. Even though I'm still, sometimes like, oh, I wish we just had pure draft, just draft play. I understand these developers wants to do something different. My argument earlier was that if you have the wheel and it's round, don't change it. Don't reinvent the wheel. Draft is good. But yeah, Atmaz, what do you want to say about the Pandora mode?
So yeah, it's good and it's bad for reinventing the wheel. One of the big things about Pandora opening, you can consider it to be sudden death, right? It's a way to bring these games that can drag out to a conclusion. And the treasures, we mentioned the treasures are overpowered. Well, they're intentionally overpowered.
Yeah.
They're intended to be extremely, extremely good. Not only that, but a lot of them are designed with certain archetypes in mind. So you wouldn't, for instance, take Aurora's Teapot unless you had a deck that had a lot of small little weenie creatures, right? You wouldn't really benefit from drafting that treasure in 100% of decks. I've taken Teapot before in a deck that I shouldn't have, and I thought, man, I really wish I would have had something different. Maybe a Clockwork Yak, maybe something else.
Yeah.
But there's actually a strategy to drafting the treasures, which I think is really, really great. It's not just, oh, this is the best treasure. Boom, I picked that one. This is the best one. It's, okay, here's the rest of my deck. Which one would be the smartest one to have? And that's what I think one of the most important changes were about this. I think you covered it earlier, Scorch, when you were talking about people didn't like the random effect out of their control that the previous shards would have on the game. You know, all of a sudden everything gets +2/+2, or all of a sudden everything gets 2 damage. Even if it were balanced, even if it were this or that, people didn't enjoy it because it felt out of their control. And that was probably the biggest line of feedback from the old version of Pandora. So that was removed. It was pretty much taken out, saying, okay, you know what, you guys have a good point, and we see where you're coming from. Let's shift it to this, where now you are in control of the crazy things that happen in Pandora, because we do want Pandora to be exciting a little bit more than just draft. I do want to reiterate, we've said this a few times before, but we have done just the original intention, the original design intention of Pandora was just straight up draft. You straight up draft 30 cards, and you played against somebody else who drafted 30 cards. It sounds really good, and I've played a lot of it myself. It sounds a lot better than it really is. A lot of times what ends up happening is not what you want, which is long, drawn-out games toward the end when players of equal skill, of equal drafting skill, who know what they're doing, go against each other with inefficient decks. That's the problem. The decks are not efficient at finishing the game.
So it ends up being like a fatigue game then.
Yeah, yes, it ends up being fatigue. And it's just trading over and over, and the game never finishes. So Pandora opening, there's a reason. There's a reason why it's in the game. Because it's a sort of sudden death mode. It's a way to bring it to an exciting conclusion. Hopefully, and I don't think we haven't heard this, but hopefully it's not in a way that is unsatisfying or feels unfair. We haven't really heard that. The majority of people have liked the new mode, and whether or not it's the final iteration, we can't say. But it's certainly, I think everyone can agree, it's certainly so much better than the previous version, and we feel like we're going in the right direction. And there are other improvements to make to Pandora outside of just the game itself. Just the entire Pandora experience, whether it comes from the ranks or rewards and things like that.
It's so hard to balance a game mode like Pandora with these treasure cards. Because the draft is random, like crazy random to begin with, and so. Like, it's so hard to be, how do you balance the treasure cards? Because in one deck they might be great, in one deck they might be bad. Against certain decks they might be really good or bad. Like, it's just, so that's where I'm like, I like all these treasure cards, and I guess what you guys are gonna do is look at pure statistics and numbers after a while and be like, okay, 90% of the games are won with the Dark Crystal. Maybe that needs to nerf a bit, but because I do like the craziness. I definitely, with this mode the way it is, I don't want the treasure cards to be nerfed too hard so that they end up being too vanilla, if you know what I mean. Like, I want them to be treasures,
you're
really
right
like
along.
this.
You're right along with the design team there, so I wouldn't worry about that. They definitely, that's the intention, to have these be really impactful, really awesome treasures. Yeah.
I really like the how they're set up into your draft too. Like taking the first one on 10, you can pick one that fits well enough with your deck, or you can pick one that could fit depending on the way that the rest of the draft goes.
And also depending on which one you pick there first, it might influence your next choices.
Yeah, like it could, you end up picking something that'll fit a different archetype based on that, and then you pick again at 20 when your deck is mostly set, and then you pick at 30, which is, okay, now round out the deck in the best way possible.
That's exactly what the developers love to hear. Like, that's
like that.
Yeah, it's supposed to help shape your. That's why you don't draft 3 treasures at the end. That's why it's spread out.
That would have been.
Yeah, you do 10 cards. Yeah, exactly like you said. And now, which one is the best that fits my draft? 10 cards later. Now, what's the best one?
Yeah, you hit the nail there. Like, that's the way it's set up right now. Like, after 10, 20, 30, that's perfect. Like, if it was the 3 cards at the end, people would go like, I didn't get any good ones. Like they will have this experience where sometimes they get the really good ones and sometimes they get the wrong ones for their deck. So it's great the way it's set up, actually. One thing, you probably have all this feedback. People on Discord are not silent, but when you see the cards in the deck list on the right side, the treasure cards are at the bottom, but not if you pick a multicolor card.
Multicolor cards, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, heard that one.
Yep. Which is just one of those design things where you're like, that's annoying. But it's Yeah, I guess that's going to be fixed.
Yeah, to be honest, we're happy. That's just one of the most important, one of the most negative feedbacks we have of the Pandora.
That's the most negative feedback.
That's a good sign. It's not the most negative, but I mean the fact that that's one of the ones that keeps getting mentioned is a good sign. That means that the rest of it is doing all right.
That's awesome. But that is actually just hilarious. Like out of all the feedback from Pandora, it's like. Yeah, you know that UI design miss there.
Yeah, just to be clear.
There's a pixel.
Just to be clear, there are people who have other more in-depth feedback.
Of course, and I without knowing, I'm just gonna assume there's people out there who just hate this mode as well. Which for good reasons. Like, I mean, if it's not what they want, like we can't all like vanilla ice cream or chocolate or. Yeah, blueberry ice cream is good though. So yeah, like we can't all like the same stuff. So it's I'm sometimes glad I'm not a game developer. Holy shit. So that's that. Yeah. Regarding Pandora though, how much feedback do you guys get on the rewards and how rewarding Pandora feels? Because we have the Phantom Coin, which we get one every day. Which I think the last I heard, somebody went 6 wins and they got 100 gold and a Pandora coin, and he thought that was underwhelming. I'm not sure. I don't play the Phantom Coin much. I actually did now the last couple of days. When I was tired sitting on the PC, I'm like, oh, you can just do the Phantom Coin and just draft stupidly, like just not care, and that's what I ended up doing. And then also, so what are your thoughts on the rewards? I know a lot of people also want to see, I'm just gonna go rampant here. A lot of people want to see avatars, orbs, like just more things that they can get.
The answer to your question, your original question, how much feedback do we get in that regard? A lot. We get a lot about the reward system. We get a lot about the rank system from Pandora. I would expect the next changes that will come to Pandora will be in these areas to improve those areas, because we agree there is room for improvement in those areas, both in the presentation of the rewards and the perception, the feeling you get when you get rewarded, and what you can be rewarded. These are all things that could be improved, and there's steps being taken in that regard. And then also a lot of people, if that's not the most common piece of feedback from Pandora, then it's the fact that ranks exist and people
that was the next topic
are frustrated or have concerns about the ranking system in Pandora. And the answer to that question is yes, we get a lot of feedback from that, and yes, we read it all, and yes, we're making changes. So I feel like if I were to put Pandora on the table, where we are right now is the game mode itself is at a really great spot, the best spot it's been since ever, and now it's a good time to start fixing those other areas that we just talked about, the reward system, the rank system, and then we'll have a pretty solid Pandora, I think.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, Scorch.
I was going to say, I think one of the things for the rewards, that it kind of makes it feel underwhelming, but it's kind of a misconception in it. When you get far enough into the draft and you get another coin as one of your rewards, you look at that 100 gold mark, and that looks much less, like much more underwhelming than if that was 350 gold. You're talking
Phantom
but you didn't
now,
get
right?
the coin. No, I mean in a Pandora run.
Mm-hmm.
Not in a Phantom
run.
Oh,
you can get coins there too. God, I don't even pay attention to the rewards like that.
Yeah, just the last one that I finished up, I went 7 wins. I got 108 gold and a coin. So I got another run for free, which you can get.
It's worth 250, so 250 gold.
Which is worth 250, yeah. But it would be more impactful when you see 350 gold across the screen instead of 100 and the coin. And it's kind of weird. It makes it feel more underwhelming than the reward actually is.
You're right, and I agree with you. And I'd also say the order that you're seeing this, you're not seeing it all at once. Like you'd see 100 gold in the screen, and then you'd see one token. And that's something we've talked about internally a lot. And yeah, we completely agree that there's definitely, in both the perception area and the actual reward system itself, there's room for a lot of improvement. And Yeah,
I would
do
like
not
a
be
box.
surprised.
I would like oh, you played Pandora, and Pandora is a box, right? So you get this box and you open it, and poof, out comes all these rewards flying up on the screen. Like that's what I mean. Yeah, I sometimes just a presentation, you know, with confetti and everything, obviously.
Go all out.
Yeah. All right. God. Pandora rankings. Doobie-doobie-doo. Yeah. I mean, that's the things to work on. I think, I mean, I don't want to hold Atmaz anymore. I want to play Pandora. Is there
What rank are
anything
you in
else?
Pandora?
I am, so like I said, I played some silly Phantom runs, not trying very hard, so I think I was up to rank 3, but I'm down to rank 4-ish now. But I mean, holy shit, you climb a lot when you I got, like, this was before the change of Pandora. I had a 12-0 run. Twitch chat is fucking the best coach ever, like, they're great. And then I had a 12-2 run. So, I mean, just going that many wins, you just shoot up, like, mad. And now I'm facing very good people, because the rankings affect the matchmaking, unfortunately. So I'm facing very good people. So now it's, I mean, which makes it actually harder to have long, good runs, because, yeah, it's super tough when you get higher up. And that's where it's interesting. Like, I can't decide whether I like the ranking to be part of I mean, I like having a ranking and being like, I'm such a good Pandora player, but at the same time, I'm not sure whether I like the matchmaking, because I feel that whenever you draft a new deck, it's a new drafted deck. So I like the idea of, like, you face people of equal results. Like you just start out, you face somebody else who just started out, and yeah, you.
So that's always going to be highest priority, by the way. Like, it's always going to try to do that for you. But when populations are low, that might not always happen.
What? I didn't even know this. So it's actually trying to do that at first?
It tries. But, you know, it all depends on the population. And it doesn't really matter. If the biggest thing about that, though, is that even if it is doing that, people don't perceive it that way, because if the matchmaking population is low and you get against different ranks, then you just think, oh, now I have to play against this really good person. I'm not that good. So that's kind of where the fundamental problem is.
It's tough. It's tough. I mean, and I 100%. I've said it on my stream that, you know, the player population has to kind of be bigger as well to maybe suit that type of matchmaking to begin with. Like there's so many things that has to work for it to work. You know, you can't just, you know, if 3 people are queuing up, which that's a low number, but if 3 people are queuing up, it's like, what is matchmaker gonna do? Just let them wait until, I mean, it doesn't work like that. People want us to play games. So yeah, I actually like it either way. I cannot make up my mind of how the matchmaking should work. I just wish, you know, with seasonal rewards, maybe Pandora was included as soon as possible, since there is the perception of there being a ranked mode. That's something, I guess. But yeah, I really like it. What was God? I lost my train of thought because we got into this. Oh well, but yeah, you guys have anything to add to the Pandora thing? Scorch, Atmaz?
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah, I think we covered it.
Yeah, it is a really cool, awesome mode. I like it. Yeah, waiting is always bad in multiplayer games, Arcside says. That's 100% true. That's 100% true. You know, people have the perception that if they're waiting 2 minutes for a game, they're like, oh, is anybody playing? But maybe it's just because the matchmaker don't want to throw you against, you know, that other player who just, you know, maybe super new or whatever, right? Stuff like that. How much time do we have, Atmaz? I'm asking you because, like, if I bring up something else, I'm like...
Well, I thought it was only going to be an hour, so...
Oh, shit! I actually, now that you said, I probably never did inform you of the time. So we actually try and make it never run longer than 3 hours, but I even plan to try and make it most 2 hours, and we're basically at 2:20.
It's okay, because right before this, my wife went shopping.
Oh.
And so there's no...
You're so smart. You're like, I'm going to be a podcast. You can go shopping, honey.
Yep, exactly. I told her, though... I told her you can come home at 2:30, but it's 30 minutes. It's 45 minutes past that. So
I'm so sorry I didn't communicate the time better.
That's okay. That's okay.
Oh God, making me feel bad. I mean, we have these two topics that I'm scared they're gonna take long, but it's interesting. Like the randomness of the mulligan, it says, and it's people's conception. When you guys changed the mulligan system, it used to be that you threw away your entire hand and you got 3 new cards if you didn't like your starting hand. And now we can select which card we want to keep and which one we want to throw away. And some people have the experience, and this is again perception. I am 100% sure this is pure perception, where people feel that. They throw away 2 cards and they get exactly those same 2 cards up on their hand more often than they think is random, right? Like they don't think it's working as should be. In Pandora, it happened to me like twice, where it was like 1 off cards in a deck of 30, and I was just like, what? You know, like really upset of that. But you know, perception is that like when it's working, you're probably not thinking about it. But like, yeah, what's your thought?
So this actually comes up quite a lot, and I think I don't have the numbers on me right now. I think someone did the math to show that there's actually not an unreasonable likelihood, given that in Faeria you can have 3 cards of any type. Mm-hmm. When you do mulligan every card in your hand, the percentage chance that you'll get back those same cards. I think it's not an unreasonable chance, and a lot of people have thought this might be a bug. You know, we brought it up to the developers.
Well, when it happened to me in Pandora, I was really like, what the fuck?
Yeah, well, there's only one of it, and you see it again.
Yeah. So it's being mentioned enough to where, you know, we've mentioned it to the developers. You know, I haven't heard that there is any sort of bug involving this sort of problem. Mm-hmm. Personally, I've been paying close attention in all my games. I haven't had this problem where I get the same cards back in my hand. At least not even close to where I would be concerned, to where I think there is a problem with this. So I have to rely on what other people are telling me and what other people are reporting, and that's where we can find where any problems might lie. But are you saying in Pandora games you routinely mulligan your entire hand and get back the same cards?
No, I not routinely, but I this is just a one-time experience that I remember because it happened twice in a row that I mulliganed 2 of the 3 cards that it was 1 offs, and I got those 2 exact same back. And it was just the odds of that was so crazy, right? That I was like, this is not happening.
That does seem strange. I mean, it's certainly not impossible, but
of course it's not. But yeah, but the question is though, when we're talking about the mulligan, because this obviously means that since that was 1 off cards, they get shuffled back in the deck theoretically, and then you draw again. And this is a place where I think we need a lot of feedback from you guys watching this Twitch and YouTube, and obviously on Discord, because maybe the cards you mulligan should not be shuffled back in, and then you draw 2 new cards, like, and then maybe
be a change.
Like, yeah. Is that a way?
Well, I mean, it certainly could be done. It's a departure from, you know, typically what mulligan means. Like, typically mulligan is you reshuffle and redraw. So it could be changed. It's certainly a common enough piece of feedback where, you know, it's maybe not a bad idea. You know, it's something the design team would have to consider.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just a thought. Yeah, I that's not how it is now, but I'm thinking maybe that's a way of doing it. I don't play enough other card games to know what's like the standard in card games, you know.
A change like that also you have to consider it would have like a major effect on balance of the game too, because now you can build decks. It increases the reliability of your starting hand in all decks, which makes certain decks stronger than others. So a change like that wouldn't be considered lightly. More importantly, I would want to make sure that there is no problem here, that there is no problem where people are getting back the same cards in error, which should not be the case. But, you know, if it's continually reported, we need to look at it again.
Yeah, except for in Twitch chat, it's like put aside the cards, then draw, then shuffle the deck. Like I mean, I like it doesn't feel unintuitive. It's like yeah, exactly. So when you mulligan, you're like, oh, these 2 cards I don't want. You put them aside. You draw 2 new cards from the top of the deck, basically, I guess, and then you shuffle the deck. I guess that doesn't feel like a weird way of playing any physical card game. Like that could definitely be the way. I feel like, but this is a design choice, obviously. Like this is This is big. Well, just like the last topic, then we'll call it the last one because it is the last one, and it's I took it off Discord today. And I've heard and seen it before. It's just that, you know, when I remember to add it to the notes, I'm sure that they're going to be brought up. Which is, today the starting hand is 3 cards. What if, and this is obviously not going to have any impact on the game, right? What if that was 1 or 2 more? What if it was 4 or 5 cards in a starting hand?
God.
Would that make for a better experience, a better game? Yeah, what's your thoughts? I'm gonna let Scorch just like theorize. What do you think about that? Would you like that?
I mean, even after playing Faeria for the amount of time that I have, I'm still overwhelmed by the amount of options every turn.
Yeah, this obviously I think is for the, you know, think about the starting hand. Like, if you have 5 cards, like, you're more likely to have the cards you would like to see in a starting hand. You're also more likely to have the options to counter things. This obviously changes the balance and strategies of many, like, of everything, but 3 cards is very little. Would you like 5?
Well, yeah, like, I mean, there's like control decks where you need to get the right start, right? And if that's not consistent enough, then the deck isn't going to be good enough to actually use. So having more cards in your hand, or even the other mulligan style, like you're saying, where those cards aren't considered in the new cards that you could draw, those could both make more consistent starts. So maybe we see different deck building choices become more available, which could be good. It also could give, you know, like, rush decks more cards to use before they run into steam. So, you know, maybe it opens up more options that actually ends up being a good thing. I don't think it would be an option that, I don't know if this is
just
true or not, but I don't
maybe
think it
4
would be.
cards. Like,
yeah, maybe
that's what they said on Discord. They were talking like 1 or 2. Like, the feedback was, obviously the person giving this feedback wasn't like 100% sure himself whether he wanted 5 or 4 cards in starting hand. It was just that he wanted 1 or 2 more. Yeah. I think this is actually Lou, one of the monthly cup players, who came with the feedback.
I mean, obviously it gives you more options, right? Because you'll have the extra card and then the chance to mulligan that card. So you get to see 2 more cards basically. So
yeah, we're getting into like the fundamental design of the game, because the amount of cards in your starting hand are things that like have been designed like years ago, and like when Faeria was formed. Like, what are the fundamental? How does a game of Faeria progress? And the starting hand number is certainly one of those things. And the amount, things like that have been discussed over and over and over, and refined over and over throughout the months and years of Faeria's development. How many cards do you get? How much Faeria is in the wells? How much Faeria do you get per turn? All that stuff. So, personally, like, I wouldn't mind seeing like maybe 1 more card as a starting hand as a player. Like, that's what you want. You want to be able to have more options, so you don't feel that bad feeling. But on the other hand, you have to understand, and Scorch hit this right in the head, you can be overwhelmed very quickly. You start adding more options in your starting hand, you become overwhelmed. Specifically for new players, they're going to start a new game. They're going to have first of all the power wheel they have to grasp and figure out what to do with that, and now they're going to have how many extra cards to decide what they want to do with. And of course, there's a whole discussions and arguments can be made about what's
the
better.
The game is going free to play in September, and you need to if you include this change now, you have a month to rebalance everything.
Yeah.
Good luck.
It's really a huge. You know, when we're talking about the core fundamentals of Faeria, it's any sort of change to that is huge, and it has rippling effects through everything. It's, you know, it may solve one problem and then create 100 others, and then we just have to keep, you know, going back and forth between solutions, and that's where we run into problems and put us in spaces we don't want to be. That said, all that big giant paragraph said, it's not saying it'll never change. And any piece of feedback like this, we discuss, we present to the developers, and it's at least seen and talked about. And yeah, if it becomes clear that it's the right thing to do, then it'll happen. It's certainly not difficult to do. A change like that, +1 on however that's.
Yeah, you don't need to reprogram the game entirely.
Yeah. I say that, and then even that, it's not that simple. Like game development
Just
is not
plus
that simple.
one.
And if Jean-Michel heard me say that, he'd probably slap me in the face. But
I
it's
know
certainly not
yeah.
a huge. It's certainly not a huge change, and it's all about design and the intended way that Faeria is supposed to operate on the basic level. So it's been refined up to this point, and yeah, maybe it'll change, maybe it won't, but it's always being looked at.
It's funny when you say that. I know a lead programmer at another development studio in Sweden, actually, and when he's in these design meetings, right? And you have the game, like this is they have this game designer who doesn't code much, but like they're in these meetings, and the game designer's like, I would like to do this and this. I want the players to do this and this, and he'll basically be sitting there with like, face palming like, do you know how much work that requires? Like, and that's obviously where, the meeting is for. Like, they have to, discuss and come up with solutions and things like that. But yeah, sometimes it's so easy to be like, I mean, this probably doesn't require more than +1.
Oh yeah. So that's why I always avoid saying anything like that, because you have no idea like how much work something can be, even if it seems like something small. But the point here is that it's more about intended design and how the game is supposed to function.
No, I like the idea of it. I like us discussing and talking about it. That's what Kappa Council is for. We bring up these interesting feedback, thoughts, and ideas, and we can react and we can discuss, and maybe even have somebody like Atmaz come with some good pointers. There's like yeah, we spent a few years coming up with these 3 cards. What? Like now you just want to change it?
And it wasn't me. Like I'm talking like when the development team was like operating the game tabletop. Like
yeah. Before 2013, like what? Like 2010, I think.
No. So this is like after 2013. They rebuilt the game. They said, okay, let's get back to basics. They made a tabletop version and they played it tabletop until they decided the best way to go, and then they made the base version from there. So a lot of intense design. Yeah.
But that's usually how they do with digital, like any card game you play on a computer today. I mean, it's not more than just cutting out paper, right? Like you have to try it. Like it's easier to do that than actually program the game, right? So I mean, when you're trying prototypes, then it's easier to just cut out paper basically and just play it physically. Actually. Yeah. I mean, the art on those paper cuts was probably amazing.
Probably primarily stick figure based, I'd imagine.
Yeah. All right. I'm entirely out of I mean, I didn't even think we would go through most of all of these notes and such. This has been a great episode. I'm really happy with everything. I'm not sure if Twitch chat has any last little thing they want to put in. If not, then we are wrapping this up. Do you guys have anything you would like to add?
No, I think we're good.
I would just like to add, I would like to thank you for running these Kappa Councils and for having me on, and for also when I'm not on and holding them and being an important member of the community. Also, a big thanks for both of you. Well, yesterday just Scream for running production on the monthly cups, but when Scorch was involved, it's very, very appreciated. I hope you understand how much we know it takes time out of your day to do stuff like that. Other than that, expect. Let's see what's going on next week.
Drop something big.
Of course, we'll reset the eSport page starting Monday for the next ladder season. Get the Hall of Fame operating in the monthly cup signups. The Play Faeria Open goes on every Sunday. You can go to open.playfaeria.com for that. I really don't want to see. Nothing big to drop. Just keep your eye on things.
I mean, we balance patch next week. Yes or no?
I can't answer that. I can answer that Jean-Michel is fully intended on working at a balance patch after the monthly cup happen. It makes sense to happen next week. I can't tell you because it all depends.
I mean, who
on
knows? Maybe you break the game. Who knows, right?
it depends on the load of the development team, and I can tell you right now they are swamped with things that I can't mention, but would love to. but it all goes back to the priority list, right? So, but that said, it's coming very soon. A lot of things are coming very soon, and the entire team is so busy every single day. A lot is getting done, so hopefully it'll be pretty entertaining for everybody. Hopefully everyone will enjoy it, and the fruits of the labor will be realized. And
I mean, September is getting closer and closer. I cannot wait for those floodgates.
It is.
I am so excited.
It is August 7th as of today, so.
The negative side of that is that I'm getting closer and closer to being back at my day job. Like, I like my day job, but I like now having 7 weeks off, so that's pretty nice. 8 weeks total. Yep. All right, what's gonna happen, guys, is that we're gonna roll the credits. It's a static image. You'll have the credits for 2 minutes, and I'll be back on as soon as the credits are done. I'll still be streaming. I'm gonna see if I can try and climb the ladder. My goal this month is God rank in either Pandora or ranked.
You can do it.
Maybe. I'm just scared that so many people are now running the tournament decks, because when I was running the yellow tournament deck this morning, nobody else seemed to be doing it, and I was winning consistently. So I'm hoping I'll continue to do that. It's great fun, that yellow. I think it's the yellow hybrid we called it. That Donkey. Am I correct now? Shit, I'm not sure if it was Donkey or Sweetie. Well, somebody of them were running. Maybe both, but God, I can't remember now. Who was it that...
Donkey had Rush. Donkey had Yellow Rush. He had the Sagittarius, the Saggy.
Yeah, exactly. And because am I correct to say Gravekeeper won game 1? And then Donkey... I don't know. I can't remember. See, it was only yesterday. But yeah, I didn't put it down. Anyway, it was great. It won several games. It was a great deck in the tournament, and it's awesome. It's fun. It's hilarious. It's yellow hybrid rush. Using the Sagittarius. If you get Sagittarius on your starting hand, turn 1, that's great. That's great. It's such an annoying card for the opponent. So yeah, that's gonna happen. Atmaz, thank you for showing up here. Really, really appreciate it that you're taking the time of your day to do that, to be part of the council. Scorch, obviously, as always, also appreciate it.
Yeah,
I mean, you're here anyway, but I really do appreciate it. It's great.
Yeah, no problem. My pleasure, and yeah, just thanks to you guys too, because it's time out of your day too.
Well, I enjoy doing it, so. All right. Thank you, guys. You guys watching this on Twitch and YouTube, I guess especially on YouTube, when it's hit there, if you're watching this later, then, click like, hit subscribe, leave a comment, and we'll see you guys in the next Kappa Council. All right.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Take it easy.
See ya.
Bye-bye.